I seen people being killed in front of me. I saw once one guy getting four shot like in the back, just like not far from me. So I mean, it's really. I mean, it's not the first time that I deal with that. I hope. I mean, to be honest, I hope that it's not that is the last, because in a way, like, I mean, as I said, I'm not searching to die, but I've been close many times.
Greetings, Legion. Welcome to episode 242 of Into the Necrosphere. This week, I welcome the great, the legendary Christopher Dean, also known as Necroshorns, to the podcast. Christopher is, in my opinion, the best photographer, not just working in metal, but working in music today. He was introduced to me by our mutual friend Cheyenne a couple of months ago at Fortress Festival. We immediately hit it off. And I knew from talking to this guy for about 5 minutes that we would have to do a podcast episode at some point. This guy has got some wild stories, including being in Israel on October the 7th last year. He also used to be a commercial airline pilot, went through some interesting experiences there. So you're going to find out about his past lives, what he's doing right now, and much, much more over the course of about an hour and a half's worth of conversation. Coming your way very shortly, but before we get to that, we've got us another premiere on the Sphere this week. Conspiracy X, a band that any member of the Legion should be very familiar with, have gifted us the opportunity to play their brand new track for the first time ever. The song is called The Wicked Feast, and this is what it sounds like.
Just remember
By now, no doubt your little knees are quivering, your lower lip is trembling at the genius you just heard there. That was The Wicked Feast, the brand new track by Conspiracy X. No strangers to Into the Necrosphere. I have shared their music many times before, and many of the Legion have gone onto Bandcamp, discovered the rest of their tracks, and told me that they really like it. So a big thank you to them for choosing Into the Necrosphere as the platform to debut their new single, and many of you will be aware that friend of Into the Necrosphere, Matt Priso, is a member of that band. If you like the musings of Mr. Priso, then stick around after my conversation with Necroshorns, because he is my co-host on this week's installment of the Weekly News Rant, and we're listening to new tracks by Mörk Gryning, Mother of Graves, Cosmic Putrefaction, and many others. It is always a blast catching up with him, so that's coming your way later on in the show. You will be aware, my friends, that I'm a member of the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse, an elite unit of podcast content creators dedicated to bringing you fantastic, high-quality, high-value educational entertainment from Monday to Sunday, kicking off every other Monday with another installment of Horrible 666, hosted by the inimitable Brandon Legion. Every Tuesday, yours truly casts hexes and slays poses on Into the Necrosphere. My guest next week is Onto of the band Oranssi Pazuzu. Oranssi Pazuzu is a band that I absolutely love. I have wanted to get them on the show basically for as long as Into the Necrosphere has been in existence. And so when I had the opportunity last week to record an episode with Onto, I jumped on it. He confirmed something that I have mentioned in the news rant about their new material. I'll leave what exactly that is as a surprise. But either way, I'm very excited about sharing that conversation with you, and it's coming your way next week. Before you get to hear that, though, you will have yourself another installment of Everything Went Black, hosted, of course, by Sensei Mike Hill. Every other Wednesday, we double up your pleasure with an episode of Iblis Manifestations, hosted by Cheyenne of the band Trivax. Every Thursday, Mike Hill is back alongside his co-hosts, Sheriff Mike Scandado and Professor Jeff Kashid, with another episode of Necromaniacs, hands down one of my favorite podcasts of the week, and the one that I never ever miss, no matter what. Every Thursday and every Sunday, we also have the Sinister Minister, the Reverend Carl Hikara, deploying Soul Nox, his curated journey through the dark, the weird, the arcane, and the esoteric. And that is the lineup, my friends. I mentioned the news rant, so make sure you stick around for that. Right now, though, I am incredibly proud and privileged to be welcoming for the first time ever to Into the Necrosphere the very best photographer working in extreme music today, the legendary Necroshorns. So we were talking before I hit record, we were talking about social mores online, and you were mentioning some of the fucking whack, crazy shit that you get online. But I mean, I'm not surprised you have a lot of people coming out of the woodwork. I mean, you've kind of become quite the you're quite the cult celebrity, I would say. I think that's the best way to describe you. I mean, you seem to get invited to every major event. The work you do, I've said this to you directly, and I've said this on the podcast too. You are the best photographer I don't even just think in metal, the best photographer in music by far. I've never seen anything like it. So, I mean, dude, yeah, first of all, I mean, just basic question. How are things going with you at the moment? It's been a wild year.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for the compliment. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's very difficult for me to even imagine what you're saying, because for me, I'm just a regular dude with a camera. That's how I consider myself. But I know, like as you said about the celebrity thing, it's very. Yeah, I mean, in a way, like there's many photographers that actually reach, like, for example, some sort of fame. But I hate the word celebrity because I don't really like to put myself in that way. But actually, it is what is happening right now, kind of like. Yeah, I mean, with the for example, like the conference that I hold, like for example in Brutal Assault and things like that, for me to have like a packed venue when you have like so many good bands, actually, I think like Impel Nazarene was having like a signing session, and people were at my spot. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing here? I will get my record signed at Impel Nazarene." So, so I mean, yeah, I mean, those kind of things for me is really overwhelming. I mean, in a positive way. I like it very much. I appreciate that people like what I do, but at the same time, I feel like fuck. This is getting like in a way that I never really thought that it was going to be. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, I think it's just embrace the situation and just go with the flow and just see what will go with it. I mean, I know I don't fight to get exposure, but I'm not gonna stop the exposure to happen. I mean, if it's what it is, let it go. I just rather go with the flow and see where we'll take in the future.
No,
I'm
because
sorry, and get
it's a regular income stream, so of course you want to
mm.
kind of keep it going. But where at what point did things kind of really start to when did things really start to change? When did the momentum start to pick up?
I mean, I will say probably early last year, 2023, 2022, more or less, was like that it started like building up. I mean, getting more exposure with my photos. I mean, I started Necroshorns not as a photographer. I started crafting wood art, like working with pyrography and painting with blood and stuff. And then, I mean, I already have some recognition about my work, but it was very limited. And it was quite of fun. It's like, I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't make any money from it, but I really, I mean, I mean, I was not getting anywhere with photography, not getting any money from it, but it was like wood art was giving me an income. And then I thought like, I really want to be a photographer, and I see getting some attention from this. And I thought like, you know something, I'm gonna stop. I couldn't really have time to do both at the same time. I have to choose or the wood art or photography because both are very demanding. And I
What
said
sort of
like
timeline? Just so I can send to myself and how long ago this was. Around what sort of time did this take
oh,
place?
that was around like 4 years ago, I think, that I decided like I will stop working with wood. I've been doing that. I mean, Necroshorns exists for 10 years now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like 4 years ago, more or less, or three, I think, that I decided like I'm gonna stop with wood and go full time with photography. I mean, probably many people will say it's a stupid idea because you're not gonna kill the cow that give you more milk. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I did, and
yeah.
well, I mean, it went at the end. It was a big risk to do it in that way, but I mean, it worked very well. I could focus 100% on my photos. I could focus in developing more technique, in doing it better, and it grew to the point that what is Necrosphere now. I mean, I getting way more exposure than what I got any time before. I'm getting, as you said, invitations to many festivals, events, to work with them. Many bands are interested to work with me, so it feels very good actually. But I will say, like, I mean, biggest momentum started like last year, and I will probably say like skyrocket actually after the Darvaza photos that we did in Israel. That was
Yeah.
actually like a big highlight, or so far like the peak of my career when it comes about something that I have created. So that was actually something very that really built up a lot of attention.
I'm trying to find a high quality version of it that I can share on screen, just so people that are watching this have reference. Because I mean, obviously, there's one photo in particular. All of the photos you took in Israel were
Mm,
awesome, but there's one
thanks.
in particular that I said to you when we spoke at Destroyer 666. I mean, to me, that's kind of like it's our times cultural. It kind of captures the culture of modern black metal in exactly the same
Mm,
way as some of those very famous photos did in taken in Norway. You know, the
mm,
one with a staring down the street and all
yeah.
all of those famous photos. But this one in
Mm,
particular, because I kind of want to work through how you managed to capture this moment as well. Because
mm.
I mean, again, if people see this, it is absolutely wild. Now, why is this not opening? There we go. Okay, so People can see the picture there, probably as best I can share it. For those listening to this on Spotify or Apple, basically you've got Wrath standing, choking himself, looking fucking unbelievably grim in a very ordinary. I mean, ordinary city street in Israel, and two women, one in particular, looking at him. And I don't know if disgust is the word or just abject terror. It's just the most perfectly captured photo that I have ever seen taken in the genre. I love it. Talk me
Thanks.
through. So talk me through the setup. How did this photo come to be?
I mean, to be honest, it's very difficult like to explain some of the facts about this photo, because this was something that, I mean, we planned it. We knew what we wanted to do, but we didn't have like 100% idea about how it was going to come. I didn't knew how Brad was going to stand up or anything. We just knew the location. We give it a try. We walk around. We look the place, but we have like raw ideas about what we were going to do, and we just decided like we just walking around, because we neither of us were before in Jerusalem. So I just knew that I wanted to shoot in Via Dolorosa because the meaning of the street religiously. So yeah, I mean, we thought before about like he getting ready in a public bathroom, but then I thought like probably that was going to be a mistake because there's people going in and out all the time, and it was going to call attention. So we found an empty street, and that's the place where he got ready to go for the photo. I mean, so everything was like, I mean, it was like an adrenaline rush, to be honest, like getting into the moment and going inside the street to shoot this. Is the fastest session that I ever shoot, and actually is the one that have got more attention in my career. We did everything in 30 seconds, and I felt like it was the longest 30 seconds of my life, because we really knew what to expect when we were inside the street. Like, I mean, how people were going to react, if people would just get it like what I mean, or we were told before, you have to be very careful because that could be a very very hot spot where you want to shoot and what you want to do. So we shoot next to the Muslim quarter, and we were told like, don't even get into the Muslim quarter because they're gonna stone you. So yeah, I mean, so it was a big adrenaline rush, like to get into it. So I mean,
So let me ask you this question: who came up with the idea?
both at the same time without talking to each other. It sounds weird, but this is the situation. Before when I got booked to come to Israel, to Tel Aviv for the festival, I had this idea that I wanted to shoot in Via Dolorosa. I texted a few bands actually
and
that they were.
Interruption, but just again to kind of get people level set here. Via Dolorosa is and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's the road that Jesus traveled down supposedly on his way to get crucified.
Yeah, exactly. That's the place where he carried the cross towards the crucifixion. So I wanted to shoot there. I texted a few bands that they were supposed to get booked in Israel. They didn't reply. I was getting quite like, oh fuck, it sucks, but I will really like to do something blasphemous there. And then Darabasa got booked. Then then we talk like we're there, we together. We're gonna we have the idea first that do that is some sort of like landscape or something, but then Bjorn approached to me and told me like, I want to do something provocative. And I was like, fucking hell, this is what I've been thinking. You read my mind. So actually, he had the same idea without talking to me, and I thought about that without talking to him. So it's good that actually it was quite of like, it wasn't like me coming up to him like, and then he get like, yes, let's do it. No, I mean, we both have the idea at the same time, kind of like so. So yeah, I mean, we both thought about that, and when he approached and told me, I was like, I was already thinking about that, but I just got tired of asking, and people saw the message and didn't even reply. So I was like, well, okay, well, fuck it, it's not gonna happen. But then at the end, it happened. So I always make it say it as a joke, like someone finally someone equally stupid.
So okay, yes, yeah. I have to ask you this question, and this is not to name and shame anybody, but who were some of the people that ignored you, or at least
Oh,
like how high profile were the individuals that ignored you?
very high profile.
Really?
Very high profile. Yeah, I don't want to tell names because I don't want to. People, I already. I mean, how can I say? People will get more annoyed than what they probably will get. I don't know. So
They were
I
if
don't
you
mention the
can't even
names.
ask them. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was disappointing, honestly, because we're talking about black metal bands.
Yeah, yeah. That is
And I
true.
feel like, I mean, I have a strong conviction about in life about like uh, do what you preach. And I feel like if you really want to step up and be blasphemous, you should really be blasphemous. Like when it comes to opportunity, you should really go for it. So it's
Well,
not about
there's
going on
there's
stage
that
and
whole theory, or not theory. There's that whole thing of punching down or punching up, right? I think it's very easy to stand on stage in the UK and punch down and say, "Oh, I hate Jesus." Christians are terrible. Christians to the lions. It's a whole different thing.
yeah.
Being on the streets of Jerusalem with a T-shirt like Roth was wearing, looking the way that he was looking, that on the photo, the people that you have surrounding him, when they were in shot, I mean, I know that you can tell that's not staged or anything like that. It must have been crazy for you to actually you did you even realize they were there, or did
No,
you just try and kind of
no,
capture the you
no.
just try to capture Bjorn?
One of the things that I was most nervous about shooting this photo is I knew I was not going to have a second chance. So
Yeah.
I thought I got 100% focused on only capture the moment. And what happened is the idea was to include people being annoyed or disturbed. That was what we wanted to do.
Disturbed
And
is the right word.
exactly, yeah, exactly, because that's what we wanted to do, like create an atmosphere like like that. And when we got there, I mean, to be honest, I got in tunnel vision in that moment. For me, it was only Bjorn and me standing there. I saw shadows crossing next to us, but I didn't. I tried to don't focus on anything of that. I just tried to capture those shadows on the photo. I wanted just to get the moment as good as possible, and we start shooting like crazy. Just like I mean, I tested before I had my camera ready. I knew the settings that I wanted to do. So I mean, I never saw the one. I mean, I saw something crossing next to him, but I didn't saw it was a woman or anything. I didn't really try like to capture like, oh, let's see, there is a Muslim there, or there's a Jew there, or a Christian. No, I just wanted to capture whatever it was in the photo. And then when we got out and I just start scrolling on the camera, I started looking at her at the people around. And I was like, fucking hell, really? I just went to Bjorn and told him like, fuck you, we did it. And I was completely in shock about that. I mean, I wanted to. If you see the photo, Bjorn is not centered. He's towards one side. It's because I start moving the camera to try to capture the shadows crossing. I didn't care what was it. I just like I want to get whatever it is in the moment. So yeah, I mean, lucky for me, unluckily for her, she came up in the photo. I don't think she will be very happy to know that her face is all around the world like that.
Man,
But
she has been absolutely immortalized. And
yeah,
when you released this photo, obviously, in many quarters it went super viral. For the reasons we've already touched on before.
Mm.
What was most surprising to you about the response to the photo? Was there anybody that came to you and said that they admired your work that you didn't expect it from? Like what came out of the woodwork when you dropped that photo?
Well, I mean, the response was I didn't expect it was going to explode like that. When I just opened social, I mean, I posted the photo, and then I'm telling you, like in less than a minute, I already have over 100 likes. I was like, what the hell is going on here? And people start sharing it like crazy. People commenting. People immediately appreciate the value of the place. And people start naming that the photo was like is the most risk photo ever created in black metal. And I mean, I don't really know if it is like that, but I think so, to be honest. And people, yeah, it was really overwhelming to see like the response was so positive. What I mean, there's always someone that's gonna complain. There are some people that also came up like, you guys, you're cowards because you didn't shoot in Gaza or in Palestine. Or and I was like, I mean, I was like, what was
You go shooting Gaza, motherfucker.
yeah, exactly. I was like, dude, really? I mean, the point was actually to capture a blasphemous photo in a religious place. I mean, my thought was actually the place that Jesus walked towards the crucifixion, like to mocking Christianity in a way. And so I was like, I didn't know Jesus walked that far, like up to Palestine. But I mean, if you want to say that's what you want, I mean, but yeah, I mean, there's always gonna be people. I mean, I will say like 99% of the people that see the photo have liked it. And yeah, I appreciate that very much. I'm really happy when people like what I do. I feel the photo got the right attention in the way that I wanted to come out. Um, I mean, I feel Bjorn is also very pleased with the results of the photos. I mean, I will not speak from him because he have different ideas as well as me. We have the same in a way some certain connections, but we also have different thoughts about things. And I feel in general, I mean, he's also very pleased about what we created. Um, it's a photo that I think it will go up to history, like about in black metal. So I mean, it's not a photo that it will be easy to recreate or someone step up again and try to do something like that. So it will be very very complicated. So yeah, I mean, coming back to your question, I think the response was very positive in general. People all around the world have shared it, I like it. uh, I mean, people are really want to hear the story behind the photo because, as I always said, it's not the most like probably the most appealing photo when it comes to aesthetically about in metal because there's plenty of really good photos around, but it's a photo that have a lot of I have a really deep story behind about everything that the success, like how we created the photo, the place where we did the photo, and what happened after the photo as well. So
I was just about to come to that. So, again, people may not be aware, but this was shot around the time of Black Knight Sorceries. Black Knight Sorceries took place on the 4th and 5th of October, and obviously we know
yeah.
on the 7th of October what happened in Israel, and you were there
Mm.
when shit started kicking off.
Yeah, yeah. I woke up Saturday morning with the explosions. The first thing that I heard was the raid alarms. Like that, you can. I mean, here in Sweden, they tested like the first Monday of every month at 3 o'clock. So I hear that before. So my first thought was like when I hear the alarms was like who the fuck test the alarm so early a Saturday morning? So I just thought it was just a test, and then I hear explosions, and I mean, I will say like when it comes to Tel Aviv, it's one of the biggest party cities that I have ever been. People party like crazy. Very different contrast between Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. It's a complete
Yeah.
different world. I mean, Jerusalem is you feel the tension every time you get closer to religious points, but when it comes to Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv is wild party. People don't mind. And I just thought, like, what the hell? People still partying that early in the morning because I thought it was someone doing stupid shit in the streets or whatever. And then I hear more explosions. Then I got the phone. I was like, well, okay, yeah, Tel Aviv is under attack right now. so, so yeah, that's when it got very. I mean, to the point that it's still going on. So yeah, I mean, it was a really, really rough situation to handle. To be honest, I mean, it's not really as a civilian. I mean, even when I've been in civil, not the same, but quite of similar situations before. I mean, it was a bit like, I mean, the morning during the day was calm, but the night was fucking hell. It was like, I mean, a rocket just crashed next to the hotel.
Mm.
So, I mean, yeah, I think we were lucky that we have the Iron Dome. So that actually is I will say that probably saved the life of a lot of people. But yeah, I mean, when you hear like just a rocket crashing next to the street where it's a hotel and the whole hotel shaking, and then you're running to the shelter, and every 2 seconds hear an explosion to the back, like bang, 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 and you're just like running around. I was like, fuck, it's surreal, you know?
I can't even begin to imagine. I mean, I've whatever, like when you describe this, whatever the greatest trauma is I've experienced in my life is a fucking drop in the drop in the ocean in comparison to to what you went through. So Saturday was was October the 7th, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Saturday, exactly. Yeah.
So Saturday the 7th. How
Yeah.
long were you in Israel until you were able to finally get out?
Yeah, I went out Sunday like around 2 o'clock.
Okay, so
Yeah,
effectively,
more than
about
24 hours.
just over 24 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
How panicked were people when all of this was happening?
Yeah, I mean, really difficult contrast to say because because it was like, I mean, you see a lot of people that they were really in shock about the situation. We went to the shelter and you could see the people were really distressed. People looking right out, like try to find a way to change their flights to get out of the country immediately. Uh, I mean, I got very in shock. Like even when the situation was going on, it was even people like still working doing food delivery in their bikes around in the street, but at the same time the streets were empty as hell.
Mm.
I mean, uh, yeah, I mean it was a really hectic situation. I mean because you saw some people that they were really like, this is what it is. I need to bring food to my home, so I'm gonna still work. But there's also other people, of course. I mean that they were really in shock, like or trying to stay like. You could see that they were like panicking. I mean, every time you get to the shelter, I mean, I'm still like calling embassies, calling different places, try to find a way to get out of the country as soon as possible. So because I mean, in the beginning we thought like including myself that it was just going to be like a couple of attacks and that's it and it was going to get everything under control, but the night was just like attack after attack all the night. So I mean I was in touch, like the promoter make a Facebook group like with the different bands that they were there in the festival, and we were sharing information. And to hear like shit, like the building in front of us just went down and we got like glass splatter everywhere. I mean, to hear that, you get also like nervous, like what the fuck? How is these people? I mean,
Mm.
I met really good people as well in Israel, and some were texting me like, "I'm home alone. I don't really know what to do. I never. I mean, so it was a really. I mean, it was a really bitter situation. I will say it was.
Yes.
It was. I
Oh,
mean, people. I mean, I got a lot of comments after like, this guy is just playing. Like he's playing. How was the words that they say like a hero or playing like a victim about just for a couple rockets that crashed there. But it's like, I mean, I mean, it was a really. I feel those comments are very stupid because those are comments from someone that have never been in a situation that
yes.
you look up to the sky and you see the rocket flying over your head, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like and don't know anything about where to go, what to do. I just thought a couple times like I just go to the shelter, but if the shelter was 2 floor downs under the hotel, I just thought like this building goes down, we were just trapped here. So it's like what to do. It's better to be outside in the street. It's better to be down here. I mean, you're not really prepared for this kind of thing. So you just go with the flow and try to find out your way around. But and try to stay focused because it's quite of difficult to stay like to. I mean, to know exactly what to do. Like no,
Yeah. Well, exactly.
it's like a lottery.
Yeah, exactly as you just said. No one is prepared for that.
No, exactly. I mean, I feel
Well,
really sorry for people from both sides because I mean, it's not only about Israel; it's also about the people in Palestine, about how much they have
yeah,
suffered from a really stupid nonsense war. To be honest, because
yeah.
that's what it is. It's just a couple of people just doing stupid shit that they shouldn't be doing, and those who pay the price at the end are people that they shouldn't be paying the price for that. I mean, but yeah, I mean, from both sides, I can just imagine how, like, I mean, and I know what I live there still is a very little gram compared to what people live after about all this war going on. So I mean, I can imagine even when I feel like shit when I was there, I can imagine like how whole life have to be for some people, and that was actually something that quite of like in a way when I got out of the country, I knew that we after takeoff that we were out of the airspace from Israel. My thought was actually a very bittersweet taste because sweet in a way like I'm going back to my home. Finally, I'm gonna be okay, but at the same time bitter because I knew this was not the end of the situation. Really, a lot of people that I care, a lot of people that I met, that they are amazing, will still suffering that. I mean, almost a year later, they still handling this shit, and it feels really like shouldn't be like that. But I mean, so it was also a really bitter taste, like, and I still is because I still in contact with many friends, and I text them often. I watch the news. I text them, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Because I mean, it's people you get connected when you go to a place like that. I mean, the festival in Tel Aviv, actually, Black Knight Sorceries, was a really fucking good festival. I didn't really as I never been next to like a crowd in a country that is still very religious, so I didn't really know what to expect. But the crowd was fucking awesome. People were enjoying the festival very much. I mean, first black metal festival ever in Israel. Not black metal concert that been before, but it's the first time that someone put a 2 days festival with plenty of really good black metal bands.
Well, I was
So
just looking at the bands that were on the bill now. So you had Ecclesi, you had the Runes of Everest, you had Darvaza, Death Worship, Afsky, not my tempo, but yeah, really top notch bands. It's
yeah, did worship. I mean, really good bands. I mean, and that's like a festival in like at the level of any festival in Europe or the States. I mean, it's like, it was a very good lineup, definitely.
Were any of those bands with you while all of this was going on? Because I mean, like, if I think back to something like Inferno, everyone stayed in the same hotel. So if anything,
No, we were spread around. I decided to stay at a different hotel than the bands. I usually, I mean, in general, I I try sometimes like to stay. I mean, I call myself a social introvert. Why? I'm very social. I'm very cool talking to everyone, but I always like my space, and I wanted to stay on my aside a little. So I was in a different hotel than the rest of the bands actually, but the bands were like I think they were in two different places if I remember correctly. Not everyone was in the same hotel, but we were very close to each other. We were like 10 minutes away from each other. So
yeah. I mean, I do remember seeing, I think it was a Facebook post where at least it said, like basically, I can't remember if it was their drummer was, he was only going to be able to get out on the Monday. And, there was a whole big rigmarole when all of it kicked off. But again, it's fucking surreal. I mean, I can
yeah, flights
imagine.
were getting canceled by second. It's like
Yeah.
every in the Facebook group that we have in the chat, they were like every moment like fuck my flight got canceled. I'm trying to contact the embassy to see what to do. I mean, yeah, when you get to the airport, you could see the screens like everything red, cancel, like one still on time, and even like that, it was like even if you have your flight on time, it was really uncertain like if actually you were going to get out in that flight because it could happen at any moment that actually the flight just decide to go back to your country and don't come into Israel. So it it was a tricky situation, like to know what was going to happen. So I just decided, like, I'm in the airport. If my flight get canceled, I just try to buy another flight. What doesn't matter where, and get out of here, and then find my way back home.
Where did you end up going?
No, I came straight to Stockholm.
Okay,
I was
right.
lucky.
So
Yeah,
you didn't need to go via Liberia
no,
or something like that.
no. They were like, I was flying with Norwegian. They were the airline. There were 3 flights from Norwegian: Copenhagen, Oslo, and Stockholm. Uh, Oslo and Copenhagen would cancel, and Stockholm actually happened. So, I mean, the flight was completely packed. So I was lucky that actually my flight was still going on direct. I mean, I was very lucky about that actually, compared to some other people that they were struggling about like trying to get a flight. I saw people in the airport like trying to buy last minute flights, and they were like selling Tel Aviv, Istanbul for 1,500 euros.
Jesus.
Yeah, so the prices were like insane expensive. But I mean, I understand the situation. It's not really that easy to for an airline to put an airplane there. So I'm a pilot, so I know the struggle. So 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 I was just like looking around like fuck. It's tricky.
Yeah, I was going to ask whether you you've answered the question already, but whether you were taken out by a commercial plane or whether it was kind of like a Red Cross deal, how you ended up coming out. But with something like this, when it happens, how does that affect how does that impact you as a person? Like, in the aftermath of it, do you feel like you I mean, firstly, do you feel like there's some degree of post-traumatic disorder or post-traumatic stress that you've picked up from this? Let's maybe start with that question, and then I'll ask my
I
follow-up
mean,
after that.
honestly, to be honest, my first, I mean, I have dealt with situations like this before, kind of. Uh, so I don't want to say that I'm used to it because I'm a civilian. I'm not a military trained or police or anything like that. But I have dealt with stuff that have been hardcore as well. So I mean, probably for me was a little bit more easier to handle in a way than from other people. But to be honest, when I arrived to Sweden, my first, how can I say it? I mean, even when I felt that I was relieved, I felt very angry in the beginning. I was getting like ignited like really really easy. I mean, I'm a calm person in general, but I always say I have warm blood. I'm half Colombian, half Italian, so so I boil like also pretty fast when people trigger me. But actually, when I was driving back home, for example, because I always arrived to the airport, I just took my car and started driving back. It was like an idiot, like trying to like overtaking and like switching lights and stuff, and I just got very aggressive, and I started driving. Actually, I blocked the guy, didn't let it cross. I put down the window, put all the finger of him. I was like, "Fuck off," stuff.
That's just a standard Friday afternoon for me, mate.
yeah, so it was like I was like this fucking idiot, fuck off. And I mean, then I figured out that I was not really acting like in the right way. So then I start like I'm the kind of person that I really uh, I look at myself and I look at my behavior often. I analyze myself often about how I act about things. I like to create psychological profiles not only for me, but even for everyone that I meet. And I try to see myself, and I was like, yeah, I see that I'm not acting in the right way, and I just try to like let those emotions like calm down. And so it was a bit in the beginning. It was I don't want to say like it was bad, but it was like I was feeling very aggressive in the beginning, and probably sometimes it's like, I mean, it's like when a band go up on stage, for example, someone that put up a lot of energy on stage. When you go down, you still have that adrenaline rush. I was still having that adrenaline rush for a while. Um, so it took me a while. I mean, for to realize like I need to start calming down, take stuff easier. I'm back home, but yeah, I mean, in a way, something that it was like the negative part, and in another like positive part, I will say like with all the people that we were there. I mean, I feel like we have created some sort of bond. Like, I mean, nowadays I see the other guys from the other bands that they were there, and when I see them, I was like, "Fuck, good to see you" and stuff. You feel a connection because you've been in a really rough situation together.
Mm.
Even when we were not in the same hotel, in the same place, we were in the same situation. So you feel like that kind of connection. We don't really talk that much anymore about that, honestly. But in the beginning, when when I got to see the guys from AFSCI, it was like really nice to see them. I came to the guys. I mean, now they're really close friends. I mean, we talk very often. Same thing with one of the promoters. I saw him not long ago, actually in Brutal Assault. So I mean, you feel like more connected to that people, because you've been in the
Mm.
same situation. So
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, I think good friendships came out of it. I mean, unfortunately, in a very negative situation, but at the same time, there was like this kind of like war photographer that I like a lot. That he said once that in the most difficult moments in life, you see the most positive part of humanity as well.
Mm.
So I feel that in a way, like also, yeah, it creates some bonds with some people. So
Yeah, I mean, you can go down the list of things that have happened in the West. Like big
mm,
flashpoints,
mm,
7/7 in London, 9/11 in the US. There was always that period afterwards where, generally speaking, people were a little kinder to each other. A little more, a little friendlier, a little more helpful. I was actually 7/7 in London. I was traveling into London for work. Trains were completely screwed, not completely out of the ordinary in the UK, as you probably know. Got into the office, an hour and 45 minutes late, incensed. I'm effing and blinding, and my boss just like very calmly said, "Listen, firstly, quiet down." Then sit down
mm,
and watch and log onto your computer and look at what's just happened. And the craziest thing about it is, one of the trains that blew up in, I think it was Aldgate East Station. One of my clients, in the job that I was doing at the time, was based there. I was going to see them that morning. I didn't go there because the meeting was meant to take place at 9 a.m. and because the trains were screwed, I wasn't going to make it there.
mm.
So yeah, that was something that I didn't see any of the carnage, obviously, firsthand, but it certainly stuck with me. It's like, Jesus Christ, like if you left home 20 minutes earlier,
Mm.
and maybe you'd gotten to Aldgate East, you could have been on that train.
Exactly.
Um, and I've spoken about it often on the podcast too. I do genuinely think there's something to people that contemplate their mortality and contemplate the fact that this isn't going to last forever, having a greater appreciation for life. I don't know what
Mm.
your thoughts are on that based on what we've just discussed now.
Well, in which way? What do you mean? Like value more life, like after a
Yeah.
situation like
So
this?
when you've seen the things that you've seen in Israel, and we'll need to get into
Mm.
some of the hardcore past, your dark past prior to
Mm.
Israel. But yeah, I mean, if you witness something like that firsthand, or you're in a position where there's a rocket that's landed next to your hotel. I
Mm.
mean, had that rocket been fired with a slightly different level of precision, in all likelihood, it would have hit the hotel
Mm.
and certainly injured you, if not killed you.
Mm.
Like, does that lead you to kind of think about your own mortality or your own approach, your own life in a different way?
Not really. I know at some point I will die. I mean, that's the only thing certain in life, death. And I'm still, I mean, big part of the inspiration behind Necroshorns, honestly, is my misanthropic part. So, I mean, I feel that's very strong on me. It's not that I'm searching death, because it's not, but I always have feel like a big connection with it. I mean,
Mm,
big part of my body is tattooed with death in different cultures. So I have like traveled to different places. I mean, like to cremation grounds in India, Nepal, ossuaries in Europe, different kind of graveyards in different parts of the world. I mean, so I always been interested about the topic. I mean, I've been very close many different times in life. So I mean, so to cross to the different planes, to say it like that. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's still the same. I mean, I have a big respect for life, but the same way, a big respect for death. I mean, it's
Mm.
I know I'm not gonna be eternal, so I mean, it's not that I'm searching, as I said, to die or anything like that. But I mean, it's still like, of course, there are moments in life that mark you. I mean, as I said, like about the what you mentioned, like about the dark things before the situation in Israel. I mean, for example, I mean when I worked before as an airline pilot, I did fly to evacuate people from conflict areas. So I've
Mm.
been in places of conflict before. The first time that I was going to how's called land to evacuate people in a place. I mean, we have to abort the landing because the airport was under attack. So I mean, I've been in situations like that. I've seen people being killed in front of me. I saw once one guy getting four shots like in the back, just like not far from me. So I mean, it's really. I mean, it's not the first time that I deal with that. I hope. I mean, to be honest, I hope that it's not that is the last, because in a way, like, I mean, as I said, I'm not searching to die, but I've been close many times.
Mm. Mm.
So I'm the kind of person I push the limit a lot in life. I really live under the motto like life starts when the comfort zone ends, and sometimes I feel like push too much the limit. Sometimes I feel like why the fuck I'm doing this when I'm doing it, or after I done it. I mean, as I said, when I work as a pilot as well, I got the fire in one engine. For example, like we have to do an emergency landing with passengers on board and things like that. So I mean, I actually that was the first time that I have got in shock about a
Mm.
situation. Like I mean, I lost my talk after I get out of the airplane and I saw the engine was completely burned down. So I mean, that's actually the only situation that you ask about. Like if I got like some post traumatic something. And it was the first time, and I think it's been the only one. I still can have some little nightmares about the situation when the engine burned down. I mean, probably because I feel I was
How
in
old are you?
responsibility. Oh damn it! I was maybe 22 years old.
All right, yeah. So you're super young. That sort of thing happens. You were. I would assume you weren't kind of main. I don't know. My I told you my brother-in-law was a pilot, but I don't know the vernacular. But you weren't kind of the main pilot. You were
No, I was
assistant
co-pilot. I was co-pilot,
co-pilot.
and
Yeah.
back then I was already senior co-pilot in the airline. I already was one of the oldest co-pilots. Actually, I mean, not oldest by age, oldest by time, working as a
Yeah.
co-pilot in the for the airplane. So I was usually in charge, like when it was like a test flight or something like that. I was usually sent to do those kind of tests
Yeah.
with another pilot. There's always two pilots on the airplane. I mean, commercially speaking. So yeah, I mean, I have quite a lot of experience even when I was only 22, and so yeah. I mean, but that situation really marked me. That it was the first time that I saw that I was very close actually.
Yeah.
When after I landed and they put out the engine, they told me it was like it's a miracle that the engine didn't explode. So when you hear those kind of words, it's like they for the aviation authority mechanics telling you like we
I'm
don't
about to
know
say you
actually
like.
how this didn't explode. I was like you get like what the fuck really. So so
Where were
yeah,
you when that happened?
that was in Panama.
Panama. And how high up were you guys when the engine caught fire?
Yeah, we just took off from Panama City. We were going to an island near a place in the border with Costa Rica, and we were climbing 6,000 feet in the moment that I that the engine got on fire. So I mean, we could return back to the airport where we took off, but we float in total like 15 minutes, and it was like the longest 15 minutes of my life.
Jesus Christ, I can imagine.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I just thought at first that it was like a indication because sometimes those things happen. You can have a false indication, but when we got a call from the flight attendant, tell us like, "What the hell is going on? I can see the right wing on fire." It's like, okay, now I know it's fucking real.
Jesus. So how did you and the pilot eventually land the plane? How did you solve the problem?
Well, interesting situation because we declared emergency. We started turning back. When we were flying, I started he was flying the other pilot. I was securing the aircraft and shutting down systems and stuff like for the landing. I was doing the emergency checklist, and what I was doing it actually, I got another caution. And when I saw that, like what is the fuck, one more caution, what is happening? And I saw the hydraulic system to have an indication of low pressure. So I was like, okay, low pressure. We probably just lost the pump. That's not a problem. You can do a crossfit and get another pressure from the other pump. And then that moment when I put up the crossfit, another caution, it was like the crossfit closed and it showed me low level. I was like, fuck, low level means we lost hydraulic fluid and I lost the hydraulic system. With the hydraulic system that I lost in airplanes there are some devices that are called flaps. Those actually help you to slow down the airplane for landing. We lost flaps. We lost nose wheel steering. We lost a lot of system spoilers that actually act a little bit like speed brakes to slow down the airplane. And then the hydraulic emergency is actually a very tough emergency by itself. And then I have engine fire plus hydraulic failure. So together, I thought the other captain was a really experienced captain. He was flying for the airline for over 20 years. Really, he was the kind of man that he never said a bad word or anything. Never heard him talking like saying like shit or fuck or anything like that. And I just told the captain like, Captain, we have one more problem. Like, what's going on? We lost hydraulic. He just told me, can you do the CrossFit? And so like, it's low level. We lost it completely. He just looked at me and said, "Motherfucker, this shit can't be happening right now." So when you hear those kind of words, you're like, "We're fucked. Really, we're really fucked right now." So I mean, we managed to land the airplane and did emergency evacuation. Everyone was fine, so I mean, well, when you get fire on the on one of the engines, you have fire extinguishers that you can actually activate and go directly to the combustion chamber of the engine. We activated both, but the fire was still going on because the fire started outside of the combustion chamber. So we have fuel leak actually from one fuel valve. So that's what started the fire outside of the combustion chamber of the engine. So it was a really big fire. I mean, the people that saw it, because from the cockpit I couldn't see it directly, but the people that saw it, they said that it was completely like a tail, like going out of fire of the engine. So, and the upper part of the wing was burning. So actually, we were lucky for two reasons. The engine didn't explode, and the second reason is that the fuselage didn't melt enough for the wing to fall down. So either of both ways will have been mortal. And actually, if that will have happened, as what you said with the timing, it will have happened 5 minutes probably after when it happens for the emergency. Like 5 minutes later, we will probably have to throw the airplane in the water because we will probably not gonna reach the airport. So it was like decisions like in seconds, like what the fuck we going to do? We have time to come back. I mean, didn't really knew because you don't know how fast the fuselage is going to melt or at which point the engine is going to explode.
Jesus Christ, dude! How much do you train when you're going through basic training to become a pilot? How much do you train for emergencies like that? Like I'm keen to understand like how prepared you are for something like that when
a lot. Actually, when you are, I mean, first in flight school, you train a lot of procedures, but in smaller airplanes. Then when you get to an airline, you have to go to a flight simulator. I did mine in Texas, and when you're doing that, we did I think if I remember correctly, were 9 or 11 sessions. Each session is 4 hours. But it's like 4 hours every session of emergency after emergency after emergency, just to the point. Like, it's not about you training the first session maybe just to get the handling of the airplane a little bit, how it is, the procedures, like takeoff, to get used to it. So it's probably the first session is mostly like to get used to the airplane. But after it's just like engine failures after engine failures. You're always flying in the worst conditions ever. They want to put you during the night with the worst weather that you can imagine, push the airplanes towards the limit, because in the simulator they can control the weight of the airplane, they can control the weather, they control everything. So they always gonna put you like in the worst conditions ever. So we call the simulator actually the Terminator, because you went there to just to suffer. I mean, it was just, I mean, you get bad schedules as well, because the simulator works 24/7. So sometimes we got schedules like at 1 a.m. in the night, 4 hours. You have to get like a midnight for the pre-briefing, for the briefing, and then you're done at 5 in the morning with a debriefing to come back to the hotel, uh, sleep, eat, study, go back to the simulator again in a couple of hours. So it's a very tough training, honestly. Psychologically and physically, it's very demanding because the stress levels are very high. The simulator is very, very realistic. So when you're flying, the simulator, I mean, I've seen pilots in the moment that they're going to crash, even scream or cover their face or something like that, because they completely, I mean, you get completely thinking that you are in a real airplane, because the simulator move like an airplane. So the training is very tough. First you do that as an initial training, then you get into the line flying with an instructor, a safety pilot, and the passengers on board and stuff. You have to do 100 hours. That is called initial operation procedures. uh, then you do that for, I mean, 100 hours, and you can do it probably around like maybe 2 months, because they're not going to put you to fly the 100 hours in 1 month. But then you do it more or less there. You do another test, and then you are off to the line. But every 6 months, you have to go back to the simulator to check that all the emergencies and do all the procedures. And then you get a test. If you fail the test, you're fired. The airline will not invest money in a pilot that is not going to. I mean, if you're lucky, very lucky, probably they can pay a couple more sessions for you, but usually it's not like that. If you fail the test, you're out.
Yeah. So yeah, so it I mean, again, from speaking to my brother-in-law, I know the testing and the vetting of applicants is and people that are training is extraordinarily rigorous. So I mean, you don't fly anymore, do you?
No, I'm not flying anymore. Sometimes, I mean, last year I went up to the glider just for fun, but I'm not flying at the moment. I could
What
get
made
back
you
in my
decide
career.
to what made you decide to stop?
I mean, it was not a really an easy decision. I mean, when I moved to Sweden, I converted my pilot license to the European. I started searching how the market in Europe is. It was very bad, and then I was like really unstable as well, and even more with COVID, even worse. So actually, I did my last commercial flight in 2012. After that, I haven't really worked. Haven't done it anymore as a in the any more commercial flights. I could have the opportunity last year actually to get back in aviation, but I declined the offer. Actually, I feel like I'm going after another dream, that is being a photographer. So, and I've been working very hard for it right now. So I was thinking like, if I get back in aviation, those schedules will not give me the flexibility to shoot in the way that I'm doing it right now. So I just thought like I was gonna keep pushing with this, not pushing, but I mean going with this. I just wanted to see how far I can get with it. So as I said, I like to get out of my comfort zone, and it was not a really easy decision either, because aviation is something that I love very much, but photography is something that I love as well. So I feel that I want to focus right now on it.
So when did the photography bug bite, and what was it about photography as a medium? Because you mentioned the wood art and things like that. What was it about photography as a medium that particularly appealed to you?
I mean, photography has always been a passion since very young age. Before, because economic reasons or different priorities, I could never really get into it. I saw the opportunity with Necroshorns, how start evolving little by little, and what really got me about photography is capturing emotions and freeze them in time. So if you see my photos, I try the concert photos, or even the the portraits that I do. I try that they show an emotion. That's for me very important. And that's what they actually really get me into photography. That I feel that I can capture people like the core of them and express them through my photos. It's like what one photographer that I like told said once: everyone can press the shutter, but not everyone can capture the spirit. That's what I aim for, and that's what I actually have really motivate me to continue going with photography. That's what I try to do all the time: capture the essence of the person, and that's what actually really got me into photography, because I'm really being into art in general. You can actually do a painting. I love paintings. I love drawings. I love sculptures. I love all kind of art mediums. But I feel photography is the closest one to capture the reality about how someone is. And I feel like when I capture a subject, I don't only capture the subject in my photo, I also capture a way of a part of myself, because it's also my way how I capture someone in my photo. That's why I have a rule in general. I only shoot what I like, because I need to have a connection with the subject that I'm photographing. So that's the way that I feel like, even when it's an indirectly connection, I feel we connect in the moment that I actually, for example, when someone is on stage, I mean, I say it as an indirectly connection, because it's like the person is not really posing for me; it's just being themselves at the moment that they are on stage, and I try to capture them like that. It's a bit more intimate when I do a photo session directly, because then I try always to connect with the person, so the person trusts me enough to open themselves and show me who they are. That's the big difference. Sorry, I got a bit deviated about your question, but I feel that's the biggest difference sometimes with some people that shoot a photo or someone that create art.
Well, this is the thing, and actually, you've preempted something I wanted to talk to you about. Your photography style is incredibly artistic. I mean, as you're talking, I'm skimming through some of the photos that you've put up on Instagram recently. The photo, as an example, that you did of Alan Averill at Brutal Assault is, I mean, I've seen hundreds of photos of him. I don't think I've ever seen somebody capture him quite the way that you did there, quite as vividly as you did there. I immediately start to hear, how this ends, or how it ends, of the new album, like just seeing that. And then you go down the list. Obviously, we spoke about Achilles being, at that show, or at that festival. The photo that you took of Nas at Brutal Assault is awesome. But all of the, I guess the point that I want to make is all of the photos seem to be, they're kind of constructed and spontaneous at the same time. I don't know
I wait for the moment. I got what you said. And actually it's kind of fun, because while other photographers go to the pit and start shooting like crazy, I have to get the photo, start shooting, and just going randomly. I do very different. I observe. I wait for the moment. I'd rather don't shoot than actually than be shooting like crazy. I just like wait for the moment. And actually, most of the time, as I'm shooting something that I like, I'm enjoying myself as well. I'm in the front row. A friend of mine, actually, he was in Texas this year. She got a photo of me. I'm in the front, like in the pit, shooting Darvaza, and I'm like with a fist headbanging and with the camera in my hand as well. So it's like, because I'm enjoying the show. I mean, for me, I feel a big connection with them. So. For me, that's very important, in a way. Like, I wait for the moment to capture the moment that I want to capture. I do something called pre-visualization. And there comes a psychological part behind my photography. What I do is, we as humans have the tendency to move continuously in the same way without thinking about it, because that's how we are as people. Artists do the same thing. Bands in stage. If you know the song, if you know the band, you know what they're going to do. It's usually like that. I mean, it's very difficult someone that actually move very different, like that, and that's what it comes to be a good actor, is how much you disconnect yourself from the role that you're acting at the moment. And I mean, so it's very difficult for someone to actually move differently often. So you have the same movements usually. even when you don't think about it, because that's how you are. And that's what I do. I check those movements, and I know how they're gonna move. I study the psychological part, and then I wait. I shoot the photo in my head first, and then I wait for the moment to capture what I want to capture. I'd rather miss many other shots than shooting like crazy and have 1,000 empty photos. I want one photo with soul. That's why I post very little. I mean, very little in the way like I'm not gonna post 50 photos of the same band. I'm gonna post probably maybe 3 or 4 max, maybe. But there are moments that actually are capture what I wanted to do, and then comes the part as well, because I consider myself not a photographer. I consider myself an artist using photography as my medium to create art.
Mm.
Many people come say I'm a photographer. I say I'm an artist. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I just say to people sometimes. Yeah, I mean, people ask me, "Oh, you're the photographer." I'm not gonna engage in that conversation with every single person, so I only answer yes. But how I look myself, for me, I am an artist before a photographer.
Yeah,
photography is just a medium.
That's why I framed my question the way that I did as well. You know, when did you decide to make photography your medium? Because you know, I completely agree with you. It is, as I just mentioned, it is incredibly artistic what you do with your chosen medium. Did you ever think that you would become, when when the passion for photography really started to take hold? Did you ever think that you would become the black metal photographer? Because I mean, there's no question that's who you are now.
Oh, I never really thought about that. For me, it's like I said before, if like 10 years ago someone would have told me you will be even shooting the bands or influencing albums in the way that I put my vision on it, because some bands, for example, some photo sessions are, I mean, of course, I try to capture the core of each band, but I also put my ideas on it, because when people book me for a photo session, they are not booking only a photo, they're booking my ideas as well. That's something that I cannot book with anyone else, because it's how I decide like to capture the band. Many bands trust me about that. They get asked sometimes like, "Oh, I want to book you for the photo session." And I ask them, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I say like, "Okay, this is the team that we want. We will you're the artist. I will let you do it. Come up with ideas that you want. We trust you." So I feel like I never thought in my wildest dreams that I will ever be doing what I'm doing right now. If you will have told me many years ago, I will have told you fuck off. I mean, because it's very crazy. I mean, I grew in Panama, a country that is not metal at all. My dream when I was a teenager was actually to at least see one band that I like. I said, if I get to see one band that I like, is enough for me. And now I'm shooting a portrait of Tom Warrior. It's like, what? Really? Are you kidding? I mean, I'm getting connections with people like that. I mean, that they remember me, and then I mean, I saw Tom when I was talking with the guys. I mean, this idea sounds very, I mean, not idea, but this situation sounds for me very wicked. I'm in the backstage of Brutal Assault talking with Mortuary Drake. Then, because they're friends, I'm like very happy to see them, hugs and stuff. How you doing? Happy to see you. Tom Warrior is crossing to the stage to play with Triumph of Death, and I just said, "Hey, Tom." Tom turned around with a guitar. He say me, shake the hand, and say, "Hey, how you doing? Good to see you." Like, what the fuck? I mean, all these people that I'm mentioning right now. If you will tell me 10 years ago, I will be there doing that. I will tell you that's you're fucking around with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I never really thought that I will get to this point, but I'm very pleased about where I am in life right now, about what I'm doing. So yeah, it feels unreal. It still feels unreal, to be honest.
Is there any band or any one particular individual that's like your absolute wish list, like the person you have to shoot at some point? If you could have your absolute dream subject, who would it be?
Oh fuck, that's a very difficult question, to be honest. I mean,
you can definitely say Jackie Smith, the host of Into the Necrosphere. I would understand.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's a good one. But I mean, that's a very difficult question. The one that I will definitely will love, and I know I don't think that will ever happen. There is this Italian Slovenian progressive band called Devil Doll. I don't know if you ever heard about it. It's actually very. It started in the 80s, and the band. I mean, the band is mostly one guy called. I mean, he called himself Mr. Doctor, and he's one of the darkest persons like I have ever seen. Like, that's probably one of my favorite bands ever. And I dream of capturing a portrait of him. Even at least one photo, I will be very happy to do. I don't think will ever happen because the guy actually, he says they will those split up. He actually still making music but not releasing anything, so he doesn't care about attention. He has been like, there's been labels that have tried to contact him, even telling him, "I want to repress your albums in vinyl, and you will get all the profit about it," and he doesn't even reply. So I don't think I will ever shoot a portrait of him, but that will be a really tough thing to do. To be honest, to shoot uh, a photo from him. But the plan B, I would love to shoot Misfits.
Misfits.
Yeah.
You're a Danzig fan as well?
Danzig and Michael Graves. I love both actually. I mean, it's like for me, it's two different bands, but still, I mean, not only but not only him, not only both of them. I mean the band itself, everyone. I would love to shoot like Jerry Only. I mean, I have done it. I was like when they're on stage, but I mean to do like a photo session for them, that will be fucking unreal.
But that must surely be within your grasp.
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Actually, a friend of mine, she gifted one of my books to Glenn, no, a few months ago, and she wrote me back and said, "Glenn loved your book, and he said black metal. I love black metal, and he's a fucking good photographer." So I was like, damn it, Glenn Danzig give a compliment about my work. That's fucking real. Maybe that could make it someday happen that I could shoot a portrait of him. He hates photos, so who knows? But still, will be very cool.
That would be unreal. Cheyenne was visiting me a couple of weeks ago, and we hadn't really. I mean, we've known each other for a while now, and we hadn't really ever spoken about Danzig. And what I've found about Danzig's music and just Danzig generally speaking, it's kind of like pro wrestling. You know, if you discover somebody who's a fan, that's basically the conversation for the next 6 hours. Hey, by the way, you know what's a fucking great song on this album? This. Do you remember when he said this? You know, it's yeah, he just is one of those characters that just somehow, you know, he will dominate a conversation for a good 6-7 hours. I'm not going to take it down
definitely.
But brother, it would be so incredible for you to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fun because I get like mentioned mostly about as a black metal photographer. But I mean, when you come and ask me the question, I come with a punk band. I listen a lot of things outside of black metal as well. So
I didn't expect Devil Doll, but I was thinking you'd say maybe like Danzig's not entirely outside the realm of possibility. I was thinking maybe you'd say something like Metallica. Maybe that's a bit cliched, but I mean, I think you would do an incredible job of photographing them. I tell you who you need to try and photograph: Rammstein.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I hear before that it's like a pain in the ass to work with them.
Yeah, but isn't that like baked into the cake? Like the more popular the artist, the worse. I can tell you inside stories I know about guys that are just complete fucking nightmares, and you know everyone looks at them and go, "Oh, such a nice dude" and stuff. It's like, yeah, wait till you actually work with him.
But I mean, the situation is this. For example, with Rammstein, what I hear is actually when like you're going to shoot the concert, the rules are very ridiculous. Very ridiculous.
Blowjob to tell, and then
kind of.
There you go. You take one photo.
Kind of. But then it comes the situation when one thing is to be in the pit, just being one more photographer in a concert, and another thing is when you're working with a band directly. and they trust you. That's something very different. I don't know how it will be to work directly with them, but I mean, definitely, I mean, that could be very cool. Actually, one of the highlights so far as well for my in my career, I shoot one huge band, not metal in general, Sigur Rós. I don't know if you know the name
Yeah, I
from
know them.
Iceland. Yeah, well, when they play in Stockholm a few years ago, actually, I talked with the manager and he told me like to shoot the concert, and I was like, "Fuck!" The manager of Sigur Rós is asking me to shoot the concert. Fucking
Yeah.
amazing! I was very excited. Most freaking difficult concert that I have shoot in my life. It was so
How so?
fucking complicated. The rules were completely beyond ridiculous. First, of course, the regular three first songs rule. Then it came up, you were not allowed to stand in front of the stage. You could shoot from the right or from the left, but you were not allowed to cross side while the band was playing. You could change, like first song over, okay, then I move to the left.
Yeah.
First, second song over, I move to the right, but not in between. So then it was like a gamble where you were going to stand because you didn't knew. Then the singer actually stand behind the piano in the first three songs. He was not even in the front, and they have the lights literally off the first three songs. So I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? You asked me. I mean, not him, but the manager. You asked me to shoot the concert, and it's like I can barely do it." I managed to get some shots anyway, and they share my photos in Instagram on their Instagram. So I was like, "Fuck, Sigur Rós share my photos. That's very fucking cool." But I mean, yeah, that was a pain in the ass to shoot. Actually, I mean, a really big moment in me for me. I love Sigur Rós. It's one of my favorite bands as well. But yeah, it was complicated. It was complicated to get there and shoot the concert.
You have. I mean, you mentioned one of your books being gifted to Glenn earlier. You've actually
Mm.
authored 11 photography books.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which is also, I mean, I just noticed that on your Instagram profile. That also blew my mind. I was like, where does this guy get the fucking time to do all the shit that he's because
Oh man.
you are never not at shows when I'm there.
Mm.
And I mean, yes, you know, there just seems to be a constant flow of work coming from you all the time.
Yeah, it's very difficult, but the secret, and it's very easy, is I don't sleep.
Okay.
I suffer from very bad insomnia.
Oh, really?
And yeah, very, very, very bad, actually. I mean, uh, I don't drink energy drinks. I don't drink coffee either in general. I hate the taste of coffee. Uh, and so it's not that I'm pushing myself to keep awake. It's just my brain doesn't stop. And I mean, until probably last year, a good night for me was around 4 hours sleep. If it was a good night, and little by little, start getting worse and worse until these years I have around like what 2 or 3 nights in a row with almost like zero sleep. And I thought, to be honest, I don't care. I don't mind. I actually, it's even better for me because I'm more productive because I'm always working.
Yeah.
But I mean, but then comes a situation is I know I'm not getting younger, and I know my body will pay the price up at some point. So now I got medicated, and yeah, it feels very weird that actually I don't now that I mean when I take my pill, it's like the pill knocked me out like for almost 7 8 hours. I
Mm.
mean, insomnia is so strong that sometimes the pill doesn't even work properly. And but yeah, that's the way that actually I managed to be so productive. I don't procrastinate either.
Yeah.
I'm very highly motivated person, so I'm the kind of person that I think like if something have to be done, I will do it now. Why? Because if I wait for 1 hour later, I will have three more things to do. I don't
Mm.
let things for tomorrow. Tomorrow is fucking late. So that's why for me, I was in charge for a while in a magazine, and it was very difficult to work being in charge of a magazine because not everyone works at the same tempo, and I expect people to work in the same tempo as me, and I was getting really fucking frustrated. I shouldn't. take it over other people, because I understand it's like they have also the full-time jobs, they have their personal life. But the thing is, for me, it's like not excuses. I just want things to be done, and I am the kind of person that I make things to happen.
Mm.
Doesn't matter the time, doesn't matter where, doesn't matter anything. If something has to be done, it has to be done now.
Mm.
That's how I am. I don't care if I'm in a family meeting. I don't care if I'm sitting in a wedding. If something happens and I have to do it, I will do it now. And I hate it like later. I hate the words of people saying I'm too busy, because you're never busy enough. That's bullshit for me. I hate those words, because the thing is, it's not that you're busy. You have different priorities. That's the difference. And what happened is, for many people, the priority is to relax, and I hate relaxing. That doesn't work for me.
I actually haven't ever seen you relax. I'm just thinking about that now. Of all the times we've met, I've never.
No, I hate that shit.
You're always working.
No, you will not. You won't see me doing that. I mean, no, that doesn't go for me. It doesn't. I see people, for example, like I take vacations and I go to the beach and sit down on the beach for an hour. For an hour, I was like, can you waste 1 hour of your time doing that? For fuck's sakes, I will at least be doing something.
Yeah.
I mean, the little times that I have to take vacations properly, I mean, like climbing the biggest mountain in the Arctic Circle in Sweden.
Mm.
I mean, that's what I do in my free time. So I will feel I need to be productive. I feel I'm a very ambitious person. Ambitious doesn't mean that I want to get millions and be millionaire or anything like that. Ambitious is in a way that I want to see things done. So every year, a new year, when I have my New Year dinner, I start recapitulating everything that I have done in my year.
Mm.
If I don't feel that I have reached enough, I will get very fucking frustrated. That doesn't work for me. I need to see an advance in life. I need to see that I have improved. For me, life is constant improvement. And that's what it shows about my photography. I never studied photography. I never had anyone teaching me. Nothing. But even like that, there's been a lot of people in the scene that has been like way more years than me, and I have like passed them by far. And it's not because I'm buying my way around. It's because I'm working very hard for it. I work 20 hours a day. I mean, and tomorrow I'm gonna do it as well. And I feel my days are not enough, because I always want things to be happen. I have 10,000 projects in my head. The only thing that I don't release, I have more books in my mind that I want to release. I don't do it because I don't want to feel that I'm overpacking the market. I don't want to be releasing one book per week. That's not it's not the point. It will lose the magic. But I mean, yeah, I haven't released 11. So even like that, I mean, it's a big number. But I got once about a Canon photographer, an ambassador. He said, they asked him, how do you manage to be a Canon ambassador? And he said, release 20 books and they will call you.
So that's the move for you.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, honestly, I will never be probably an ambassador. That will definitely never happen, because I always tell people the reality about things. When people ask me, like, I always tell everyone what is the kind of camera that I shoot, which lenses, everything. I tell everyone everything. And the thing is, people tell me like, but you should try this new camera that's coming. I was like, so listen. The camera doesn't make the photographer. The photographer makes the camera. The best camera, that works, which one it is? The one that you know how to use. It's not the newest one. It's the one that you know how to use. And people get sometimes like, really like, I mean, to be an ambassador, they don't want those words, because they want you to sell something new, because that's what the ambassadors are for.
I was going to ask you, are you going to turn them down, or do you think they would turn you down?
I will not. I think they will turn me down, actually. They will do it. Because in the moment that I will tell them, actually, I'm not going to be telling people, you need to buy the newest lens because this will make you take your photos like this. No, it's not true. Doesn't happen. Actually, it happens once a conversation with Vlad from Cult of Fire. Because I start posting all the camera equipment that I was using, and Vlad told me, you're stupid. I was like, why? You're telling everyone what you're using. People will shoot the same photos. I told him, no, you know why? If I take your guitar, I'm not going to make Cult of Fire songs. And then he was like, "Fuck, you have a good point there." I was like, "Yeah, of
Well,
course, because it's your creativity as well and your
yeah.
technique that put it up, like make you happen."
There's a you just reminded me of something. I watched a documentary the other day on a restaurant that's opened up it's in Barcelona. I just want to find the name of the place. But the reason I wanted to bring that up is I actually think that so rather than sit here fucking scouring the internet for this, there for a long period of time, the best restaurant in the world was a place called El Bulli, or at least it was known as the best restaurant in the world. El Bulli shut down, I think, about 10 years ago, maybe a little more.
Yeah, that was one in Spain, isn't it?
Correct. And
Yep.
then two of the chefs, or three of the chefs from El Bulli, went and they started their own place. And that place is it's very similar to El Bulli in that it's very high end cooking. It's not really my kind of food, in fairness. My kind of food is barbecue and steak. But if
I like that as well.
I appreciate the art in what these people do. Now, the thing that's super interesting, they publish all of their recipes, every single one. And you would look at that, and if you didn't know anything about cooking, you would look at it and you'd go, why are they giving away all their secrets? Then you realize this isn't fucking grandma's pasta sauce. This is these guys are almost daring you to say, if you think that you can do this as well as we do, go ahead. There's the recipe. It's kind of the same, it's kind of the same with the camera. I mean,
Yeah.
I love photography. I don't necessarily think I've got a gift for it, but certainly one thing I know about cameras, you can give somebody the most high-end camera on the face of the earth, and I could put an iPhone in your hand, and I know who's going to get the better photos.
Yeah, it is like that. Actually, a typical thing that have happened a couple times is, for example, when Mare is playing. Mare is the kind of band that they only have like a couple candles on stage, so it's very complicated to shoot them. And I know my tricks. I know my settings. So as I shoot them a couple times, and I have captured good photos from them live. And what I did is actually, I remember it was in London. Some people were struggling to get good shots of Mare, and they were like, "It's not working, no lights and stuff." And I turned around my camera and I said, like, "Put up these settings and you will get the shot." And they were like, "No way!" I mean, some of the settings is actually like the ISO, like to put it up. Some people don't want to do it because it will create noise on your photos. But I told them, put it up like this, and this, and you will see. And they was like, "No, it's not gonna work." It's like, do it, and you will see. They wrote me later and they like, "It wouldn't be because you told me about how to put up the settings, I will not have got a single shot about them." And the thing for me is like, I don't really see it. In a way, yes. Let's be reality. When you're in a photo pit with other photographers, it's a competition. You want to get the best shot because it's the shot that actually will come up. The band's gonna share, people's gonna share, people are gonna like it, and it will give you more attention. Yeah, definitely, you want that. But at the same time, I don't care if I'm shooting next to you and you get a better photo than me. I will be very happy about that. You know why? That will make me push myself later to be able to get a better shot, not just get in a comfort zone saying like, I'm getting the best all the time. No, I want people to get better photos than me, because then that will make me continue pushing myself. So competition is good in general because it will make you go farther. It's like in mine, for example, is this guy, the runner, Bolt. Imagine if that guy will not have competition. The guy will just relax and like, I'm winning all the time. Fuck it. But if someone comes up, like, it will give him a challenge, he will improve and break more records. That's the way that I see myself.
Iron, yeah. I was about to say the phrase is iron sharpens iron. That restaurant, by the way, is called Disfrutar. It's also in Barcelona. Again, like I said, I watched a whole thing where a guy has a 25-course meal there. Not my kind of food, but I do.
Oh, but you have to send me the link. If you post it on internet, because I'm into fine dining, so I love food in general. So actually, I will be very happy to check that out. Actually,
yeah, dude, it's the channel itself is excellent. I mean, for anyone interested, it's a guy called Alexander the Guest.
Yeah, of course I know. He's an Hungarian guy. Yeah, I see that. Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. He's an
he
Hungarian guy that he travels to different restaurants around the world, like, and he rates the restaurants. Yeah, I
yeah.
definitely seen it. I'm a food geek, so actually, yeah, I check it out. Yeah, definitely, I have seen it.
I'm an admirer of capability that far supersedes mine, but at the same time, as I said, if you said there's some Texas brisket and there's 25 course degustation meal at Disfrutar, I would go. I'm gonna have me some of that brisket.
Yeah, but don't misunderstand me. I love fine dining, but I can go tomorrow and buy KFC.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been to
KFC
Thailand.
dining of them all, mate.
Sorry.
KFC is some of the finest dining of them all.
Yeah, that's quality chicken. But I've been in the Chinatown in Bangkok, and I ate probably in every single spot that I found in the town. I was like trying everything. So I mean, I'm a food geek, but I love food in general. Doesn't matter like where it is. I mean, when I was in Varanasi in India, I was told like don't eat street food because you're gonna get sick. And I was suffering because the smell was so fucking good, and I was like, "Damn, I want to eat that, but I shouldn't." But I mean, yeah, I don't care. I mean, if it's good, it's good. I mean, doesn't mean they have to be in a 3 Michelin star restaurant or just like someone in the street selling something.
Yeah. Now, speaking of all your travels and stuff like that, what have you got lined up for the next couple of months? Particularly of importance to me, when am I going to see you again?
Okay, that's a good question. I have an almost full book schedule until end of November. I'm gonna be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I mean, I don't know when the podcast will be released, but next week is the 13th of September. I'm traveling first to Spain to work in a warm up concert of Sarge's Pentacle in Barcelona. Then the day after, I'm going to another city called Monzon that I'm gonna work in the as a house photographer for the festival called Black Templar. That is like, I mean, Horna, Sargeis, the Pentacle, Convols, Massacre are playing. Really fucking good lineup. And MT as well from Spain is playing there. And then I'm traveling back to Sweden in Monday, and then I'm traveling Thursday to Los Angeles to do a photo session for this band called Imperialist.
I know that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be traveling a lot actually. Then I come back, and I'm traveling then to Morkas Småland, the south of Sweden, for another festival. Vienna Metal Meeting the week after, and well, it's not announced yet, but in the moment the podcast come out, it will be announced. I also want to be working in Necrosphere in Spain. That's a festival in a fortress outside of Barcelona. So we'll be back to Spain in October. So yeah, I mean, it's one trip after another. There's a tour that is happening at the end of October that it's supposed to be. I will be booked. Still cannot say about anything about that one because I don't know when it's gonna be closed the deal. But yeah, it's a tour, very cool one with two legendary bands, and then House of Metal in the north of Sweden. Also, that's probably the last exhibition for this year. And Dismember is playing there, Bewitch, some other bands in general, and I think probably that's maybe the last, maybe. I'm not really sure.
What about Inferno, Fortress, and Beyond the Gates next year?
Well, this is the situation. I have a lot of bookings. I only travel to events that I'm working with. Fortress, I would love to go back. Definitely, if I get invited, I will be more than happy to say yes. I love the festival. I love the event. It was very good. The atmosphere, the place, Scarborough was a really nice city. So we'll see what happened. A bit early yet to say something. Inferno and Beyond the Gates, amazing festivals. Will really definitely love to, but it seems like Norway doesn't want me. I never been booked in Norway, so we'll see. I don't know. I'm just joking about Norway doesn't want me. I mean, I don't really know if it will happen or not, but I mean, definitely if something comes up, I would love to, but I'm not gonna push any booking. I'm not gonna be telling them like, "Hey, book me" or anything like that. I mean, they definitely know who I am. If they book me, I'll join. If they don't, I just go to places that I'm booked because I have a lot of work. And for me, what is very important is like I only go to places that I'm working with. What I mean with this is I don't feel like it will be okay. Like then why this festival pay and this other one not? I mean, no, I mean I have a lot of work anyway, so it's not really that I'm begging for work or anything like that. I have a lot going on. I have a lot of bookings. I have some already up to 2026.
Jesus.
So it's not that I don't have anything to do. I have a lot of things to do. Actually, I have a lot of bookings already for next year. It got announced once, one for February already. The Odyssey in Oberhausen in Germany. I'm gonna be working as a photographer there. I have also another booking coming up for April next year that I'm very much looking forward for it. I cannot tell yet about that one because I have to wait for the promoter to release about it. But yeah, there's some other bookings that I already have in May, June, so October next year. So actually, there's many things going on. So definitely, I think 2024 has been a pretty good year, and I think 2025 probably is going to be even better. So let's see. Let's see. Uh, I mean, I made it this year for me to Hell's Heroes in Texas. That festival was fucking awesome. Lineup was great. Atmosphere perfect. People over there knows how to party. I'm not a party person. I got surprised when I got there. I was like, I thought this country was built by Puritans, but they are gone. These people are wild. But I have a really good time there, and we'll see what happens for next year. I will definitely will like to reach different places that I haven't been before. I mean, UK. I love UK actually, so will be very good to get back. I mean, this year I managed to work twice there, once in Fortress in Scarborough, and the other one in the Destroyer 666 concert in London. That's both places where we met. Yeah, and the concert was wild, and the energy was on point. It was very good. So, I mean, we'll see. Hopefully, we get to meet again in any event. I mean, there's some really good things coming up for next year in different places. So we'll see what the. I mean, as I said, I already have several bookings for next year, and we'll see how it goes. I'm very happy actually that many festivals are deciding to step up and think about photographers as a very important thing for their events, because it sounds very odd to say it, but time have changed and magazines are a dying culture. What I mean with this, people don't buy magazines like they did before. With social media, the attention is in social media. People prefer to listen to podcasts. People prefer to look at an Instagram. And that's the place where the exposure is. If you want to market your event, magazine is a bad deal because you're going to get 100 people buying a magazine and they're going to forget it. But when you see social media getting a lot of things coming up, people see it often. I have between Facebook and Instagram around what, like 29,000 people between both. 18,000 in Facebook, Instagram, 11,000 more in Facebook. So when I start posting, for example, of course, not that 29,000 people will see it, but it's a big number that we will see it. So I think new generations of festivals are seeing the importance of social media as a tool for promotion. And the only way to actually manage to get that exposure is working with the right people.
Mm.
And I feel like that's where attention is going up right now. And I feel that many magazines are actually struggling to keep up when
Well,
actually the attention
I
is in
think
the different place.
I would be even harsher and say I think magazines made themselves irrelevant, especially in the metal scene. You know, everybody can tell when the same bands are in the top 20 at the end of every year. Everyone can tell they're in bed with certain record labels or they're in bed with certain artists. The people in the magazines, you know, started to reflect values that I think are counter to the values of the scene. You know, a lot of people, you know, and I don't give a fuck. I'll throw out the names. You know, when Metal Hammer was still going, some of the people that were writing there, even some of the people that were part of the editorial staff, you know, are a bunch of fucking woke communists who use every possible opportunity to inject that bullshit into interviews, even reviews, and people just got sick of it. So if you want a free exchange of ideas, and you want the scene, or you want to experience the scene in the same way that you might have done, when it was still underground and people were trading tapes, and it was, the sort of zine culture. Podcast is where it's at, without a
Mm,
shadow of a doubt.
mm,
One other thing that I would say too, I think one of the probably the best compliments I ever got. And I don't think it was intended as a compliment. It was just something that this record label said to me. I'll have, if I like a band, and a record label comes to me and says, "We want you to premiere this band's new single on your show." I'll happily do it. I don't take any money for it. I don't take a cent for the podcast. The only thing I make any kind of money out of is t-shirt sales. But this particular band was the Antichrist Imperium. I'm friends with everyone in the band. I fucking love their music. Played the first single off their last record, Volume 3, and what the feedback Connor from Apocalyptic Witchcraft gave me was that they got a better response from the song being featured on this podcast than they got from advertising advertising the record in Decibel magazine. That to me was like, yeah, there you go. That's
the problem. A magazine, what it happens is actually they put up one issue. I don't know how they do it. If they do it monthly, I don't think it's weekly, but I think it's probably per month. And they put one issue there, and then you get like a page of advertising that probably people, when they see advertising, they will just scroll and don't look too much into it. Maybe you will get a couple people that will pay attention, but in general, people will just scroll up and they look at something else that they are searching for, like the interview with the band that is in the cover or something like that. I'm not myself a reader. I read only when it comes to stuff related like to science or stuff like that, but I don't read interviews in general. I hate that. I'd rather listen it. But I mean, I'm probably more a photography person because I'm the kind of person that I buy a book and I only look at the photos. Same thing with the magazines, but then comes then you get social media when people start seeing. For example, I start working with this festival in Spain, Fortaleza, that is the one that I said is in a fortress, and fuck, it was very good. I had the opportunity to go to the festival before the festival happened. I shoot a photo session for Darvasa there actually, and when we start promoting about the in social media about it, a lot of people were like seeing the festival, seeing the photos. I post videos of the places where I am, and people were like, "What the fuck? This place looks amazing. I want to be there." And it's something that you don't get with a magazine.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I think I was about to say it, but you've articulated it better than I could do. But
that's difficult.
Your photos definitely create that attraction, and you look at the photos and you go, "God damn it, I wish it was there."
That's what I try actually to get with people, and I mean I always show like clips as well of the places, like show some short videos when I'm in a festival. I always try to film like maybe like max like 50 seconds, 1 minute of each band, put up video online, so I show the energy about the event, and yeah, I mean I feel those kind of things it get way more exposure than actually like one flyer posted in a magazine that not everyone is buying either way. So I mean, I feel like, I mean, I feel it's kind of sad in a way that they're dying. I feel like, but if you see day by day are less magazines than it was before, and it was because times are changing. It's different. I mean, back in the days, let's talk about early 2000s, the 90s. Let's say, how did you bought albums in general? You went to the store, unless like you didn't really someone recommended to you. You went to a store, a record store, and then you get to go around and you see the cover, and you were like, "This cover looks very cool. I'm gonna buy this one." And then you listen, and sometimes you get a pleasant surprise. Oh fuck, you got Slayer, but sometimes you get a really like,
crematory.
what the fuck is this shit? You know? So it's like, I mean, so the artwork in for albums is actually an essential part about how to sell something, and I feel that many bands are evolving about that. Actually, that's why there are so many great artists creating album covers and stuff nowadays. I mean, or someone like, for example, let's put it up like this: Chris Moyen. I love the artist. He's an amazing artist. You know that an album with a cover of Chris Moyen, it will have a certain standard. So people, you could go to a record store and you can see a Chris Moyen cover, and you don't know the band. You could probably buy it because you know what you're searching for, and you know it's gonna be like what you like. For example, if you are into bands like Arshio, Blasphemy, or something like that, you can Possession, you can find something like that, like in the same kind of like atmosphere. So that's what I mean. It's like those kind of things attract, and I feel that, I mean, back in the days, that was the way that you actually got the albums. I did it a couple times. I actually saved my lunch money all the week to go on Friday to the only record store that we have in Panama. That it was a very bad one, but anyway, to search what I could find, and like that, I found like albums from Unleash. I found some different bands and stuff. So it was like, I mean, it was a very good surprise. And I just look at the cover and I was like, yes, this looks fucking cool. Why shit, a Thor hammer? This looks amazing. I have to buy this one. So yeah, I mean. So that was the way before.
I remember hearing Ceremony of Opposites for the first time, and so in fairness, my decision to buy Ceremony of Opposites was based on a review I read in Metal Maniacs. But you know, the cover also attracted me. I was like, you know, this is fucking sick.
Yeah.
You know, completely sinister. Hearing the record, I mean, there's still one I go back to, you know, on a fairly regular basis. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but how many people nowadays read reviews to buy albums?
True. Yeah. Very true.
So that's what I mean. Times change, and that's what I wanted to get with the point now. Yeah, it's like it's very different. Like how you get the promotion about something. So times are changing. I feel like many festivals and promoters are embracing that, and they are trying to aim for it, like with proper photographers working in their events, because it happens in some festivals. I seen like 20 photographers shooting photos like crazy, but I don't see the photos later in social media. It's because those photographers are not really aiming. I mean, some of them work for a magazine. They're not really aiming to get any exposure or anything like that. They don't really. They're like, I share the photo next week and stuff like that. And then you see the same photographer complaining, no one is calling me. It's like, yeah, but you're not active.
Well, it's also there's a lack of passion in their work. It's very evident when you look at what they do.
Because they see it as a hobby.
Yes.
I mean, I don't see it money orientated, but for me, it's not a hobby. For me, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's like, for example, underground bands, they're not touring like crazy because they're getting millionaire, because they're far from that. Touring is not comfortable. You're not, I mean, yes, you have fun because you're with your friends, you're going different nights in the different places, different cities, playing the concert, but they are not doing it because they want to they're going to get a millionaire about it. Definitely not. They're doing it because they love it. That's why I do it for my photography. I'm doing this not for the luxury, because it's not fucking luxurious at all. It's not really. I always tell people like, it's because, for example, I talk with people outside of the scene. So like, oh damn, you live a rock star life. I was like, oh, you will know how it is. This is not like how you see it in the movies that you arrive from the airplane in the air. I mean, you just get out of the airplane. You went out. Your bags are waiting for you already in
The dude is standing there with a little placard,
and then you go out dressing very cool with your sunglasses. You go out, they're waiting for you with your name. You go to the limo, as you said, and you get in like let's go cheap, like a cold beer or something like that. No, fuck off.
Yeah.
No, dude. You arrive. Oh, fuck, my bag is lost. Oh, no, he's coming in the flight later. Where the fuck? Where's the promoter right now? Where's the boss? Oh, getting a text. He's coming in 1 hour. He's stuck in traffic because he was driving another van. Then you're sitting there waiting, eating overpriced airport food. No, that's not fucking luxurious. It have happened to me sometimes that I have arrived and I have waited like 2 hours for the for the picked up. So it's like, I mean, it's very. It's not easy.
You have to be dedicated to the shit in order.
Yeah, of course, and sometimes people don't see everything what is behind to get to that point. And when they try and they see, it's like once another photographer wrote me not long ago. It's like and asked me like, I've been doing this for a while, but I'm not getting enough exposure and stuff. It's very difficult and stuff. So I told her like, you know how many hours I work per day? I work around 20 hours a day. A day. I work Monday to Monday. There's no vacation. There's no excuses. That's what it is.
There's no taking the Sabbath off.
No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. So they get like, oh fuck, is that difficult? So like, yeah, I mean, you have to put in a balanced priorities and think what you want. You want this for real? You have to work your ass off. It's not only being good, because it's like I said once to a friend. It's like being a photographer that is not active and posting photos is like a journalist that don't post any article. You can be very good writing, but if you are not out and you're not on the moment and you're not releasing stuff, no one will know about you. So, and it's not about doing it for the exposure, but I feel in a way like what's the point to be a musician, write a song and never release it?
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, it's a lot of hard work. So, but that's what it is. It will be easy. Everyone will do it.
Absolutely. Well, dude, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute blast catching up with you finally, and I really do hope we get to see each other in person next year.
Yeah, definitely.
If we do, we're going to need to do one of these in person, I reckon. We'll get.
That will be very cool, actually. Yeah, that will be very cool.
I can see you sipping a wine there. We'll get some decent wine. That's the one thing that I am a little bit not snobby about, but once you've had good wine, you can't go back to drinking fucking antifreeze.
Actually, that's kind of fun because if you see me in any event, I'm never drinking anything. I'm just drinking soda and stuff. So and I drink wine. I drink very little, but I'd rather drink quality than quantity. Yes. And people ask me sometimes like, why you're not drinking? And it's like, because I don't want to buy the cheap shit that is here in the venue that is going to make me depressed. I'd rather drink. If for that, I just drink my Coca-Cola that I'm happy with it. But if I want to drink quality, I will do it. So when you get into that, you don't want to go back.
100%, dude. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Thanks so much. Thanks for everything. I appreciate it. Yeah. Cheers, man.
This Hungry Triumphant Darkness is the name of the track. The band, unmistakably Derasara, that is off their crushing last record, Ascending into Perdition, available on Territor Possessions, played by special request of my guest this week, the legendary Necroshorns, and I certainly hope that you guys enjoyed that conversation. I want to take a few moments just to reflect on the fact that officially Into the Necrosphere is 5 years old. I posted the very first episode, which featured the Archdeacon of the Necrosphere, Marco of Stellar Master Elite, on August the 29th, 2019, and I have to say, I have had the opportunity over the last 5 years to speak to a host of bands and guys in bands that I spent the better part of my adolescence listening to. And that in itself has been extraordinarily fulfilling. It's something that I really never thought that I'd had the chance to do. Seeing how the podcast has grown and the fact that I've been able to speak to higher profile guests, that's been awesome. Again, not something that I ever expected would happen. But the most fulfilling thing, beyond a shadow of a doubt, about doing this show has been the friends that I have made along the way. And that includes people in bands, guests previously on the podcast, people that I am going to get on the podcast in the future. But it also includes members of the Legion. And I just want to say how much I appreciate those of you that message me on the socials, drop me a line, to see how I'm doing, give me feedback on past episodes. There's no value you can attach to something like that. It means a huge amount to me, and it is what keeps me motivated and wanting to do the show and wanting to put out something that's better and better every single week. I am never going to give up doing Into the Necrosphere. I will be doing this show until I am way past the line of being fully demented. So thank you for your support over 5 years. I cannot wait to see what the next 5 years holds for us. From me to you, I truly, graciously and humbly just want to say how much I appreciate every single member of the Legion and every guest that's been on this podcast up to this point in time. Now, speaking of friends, I've got Matt Priso joining me for the news rant very shortly, but first I have to issue a warning. If you base your voting decisions on the ramblings of intellectual giants like Taylor Swift, Dr. Corey Taylor, or Professor D. Snyder, it might be time for you to hit the bricks, because this is my weekly news rant.
Round them up for judgment. And hang them where the world can see.
So, Matt Priso, welcome back to Into the Necrosphere. It's been a while, mate. It's been a while, brother.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time. I think it was the last news rant I've done. Maybe.
I think it was about 7-8 months ago.
Yeah, it would have been about that.
Yeah. Well, it was bizarrely, I think what I'm finding is it's works out well for me to have some of my Australian homies on the news rant, because you've got, it gets me out of bed at a reasonable hour, and then normally I can do this on a Sunday morning. It works for you guys because it's back end of your day, and then that just gets me
correct.
Gets me set up to be able to edit the rest of the episode and get that done. But yeah, dude, it's good to have you back, and it's great to see, or great to hear, I should say, that you continue to be productive. This new Conspiracy X single is fucking brilliant. And you mentioned to me offline, I don't know how much of it you want to share, but you've got a fair few other things coming as well.
Yeah, so when doesn't stop? I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it, but if I don't achieve something, I get frustrated. So I sort of load myself up. Yeah, so with Conspiracy X, I got SIK and want to get spells underway. There's some good ideas coming through with Austin, which will start fairly soon. SIK, I released that single, Into the Abyss, kind of put on hold because Conspiracy X, we sort of fast tracked that. Ryan's writing like a madman, and then we got Robin Stone. Finally got some live drums, so it's a little bit more exciting for me at the moment, and it's a lot easier to punch out because just doing vocals is a lot different than SIK doing everything. So it's probably a bit more enjoyable because it's less work, but can be a bit more creative with the vocal side of things and try and get that talent, that side of things a bit better.
Yeah, and I mean, Robin is like one of the very best of the best. So, and I know he's worked with you on SIK before. When you say live drummer, does that suggest you guys might take Conspiracy X to the stage at some point?
I won't say no.
Yeah.
I won't say no. It's just I think because it's early days with this new setup lineup, so to speak, and Ryan pretty much does all the guitars. So if we're to do that, we'll be searching for a bass player, and you never know. You never know. So it will depends how this gets received.
Yeah,
it's very, like, as you know, it's very eclectic. Comes down to Ryan as a person as well. He's just a talent, but he's it's hard to keep up with him. I thought it was hard to keep up with myself, but with him, he's.
I was going to say,
he's on a different level.
You're up in the mountains at the moment. Is it just like you go into the mountains, take peyote, and then go back, write 3 albums, and then repeat the cycle again a couple of months later? Like, where does all 100%. The creativity come from?
I don't know. I've got mental problems.
Yeah.
ADHD, I don't know what it is. Like, it's just there. Like I said, if I'm not creating something, then I'll start getting frustrated and feel like I'm not achieving something. I think I've got there's a lot of years that I'm trying to catch up on that are, things I wanted to achieve but I couldn't. So trying to make the most of it while I'm still not in a walk, haven't got a walking stick, and I'm still able.
Yeah. How old are you now?
47, 48 in March.
All right, okay. Yeah, so you're about 3... March, when is your birthday?
15th.
15, okay, so it's 12 days away from mine, but you're 3 years ahead of me.
It makes sense.
Yeah, it probably does. All right, well, let's dive into it. First article that is grabbing my attention, Cosmic Putrefaction have got a new single out. It says here, another new track from the upcoming Cosmic Putrefaction album, Emerald Fires Atop the Farewell Mountains, is out now. Check out Swirling Madness Supernal Ordeal on the YouTube player down under. I really liked the previous Cosmic Putrefaction album, Crepuscular Dirge for the Blessed Ones. I remember that title very distinctly. Whether or not it made my top 30 of that year, I can't quite remember. I happen to think that it did, but it was certainly either there or it made my honorable mentions. But I do remember really enjoying it. I missed the first single they've put out of this record, so I'm very excited to hear what these guys are going to get up to in the next go round. Let's give this song a listen. So I just sense checked myself, actually. They were on my top 30 of 2022, relatively high up, actually. They were number 13, sandwiched in between Haunter and Reeking Aura. This I'm really enjoying this single. I don't know whether you were getting it on the... I know you're not listening on the most high fidelity system right now as we're going through this, but
I can't comment on the production side of things.
Yeah.
But
It just all sounds like the first Burzum EPs.
100%. But
Yeah.
I can make out the structure and it's definitely got. I didn't mind it from what I heard. It had groove. It had some aggressive moments, just top percentage changes and damn brutal. So it was, I think I didn't mind it.
I need to probably go back and check out Crepuscular Dirge, because I could swear that album had more black metal elements, but then as I was listening to this song, right around the probably 40-45 second mark, there's this very, very subtle synth or keyboard line that they put in that sort of just they're just playing one note that kind of comes out all the time, but it sounds absolutely brilliant, and it really, really helps elevate the song. That being said, with you on the aggression, with you on the groove, I think everything on your sounds extremely promising. So I hadn't even realized these guys are putting out a new record, and considering how high up on the list they were the year that they put out their previous one, I mean, definitely one to pay attention to.
Yeah, I'll be definitely check it out on a good system. But from what we heard, I dig it.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. Black Curse have put out, or have announced, a second full length. It says here, Colorado-based death metal collective Black Curse are ready to return with their second studio record, Burning in Celestial Poison. Comes out on October the 25th through $20 spin, produced by Arthur Risk with the aid of Aidan Elias and Black Curse. They've got a new track out called Trodden Flesh. It's 11 minutes, 46 seconds long, so I'm not sure we're going to get the full experience giving it 60 or 120 seconds, but anyway, let's hear what it sounds like.
It reminds me of Australian band called Golf and Remains, especially the vocals. I think what's coming out from the US of late is all very similar in what they're going for, as in like Abysmal Winds and a few others going for that real decrepit type style, and I like it. But it's still, I mean, they're all coming out of the woodworks now, and it's kind of like just following suit to some degree. Didn't mind it, but like compared to what's coming out, I'll check it out, have a listen, but if I wouldn't listen to it, wouldn't be in my top 30.
Mm. So their previous record, Endless Wound, came out in 2020, and that really was a absolutely magnificent album. I think that probably made my top 10 of that year. Decrepit is right. They definitely have that kind of grave miasma, Golgothan Remains style, where it's kind of, it sounds like death metal that was recorded in a cave, but it also has, in their case, quite a strong black metal influence to it. And what I really loved about this song is, when they kind of turned up the voltage twice. They sort of had this intro that was already pretty aggressive. Then the song gets faster, and then it kind of feels like it picks up speed even more. It was
good. Yeah, it was great from the start, like good intro. But I knew from the intro, I knew exactly where we're going with this.
Sometimes it's also a bit like watching a movie, right? There's certain movies that even though you enjoy the movie, you can pretty much map out exactly what's going to happen from start to finish, as within the first 5 minutes. What I will say with these guys is they do throw in a couple of unexpected things. At least they did on their debut album. So I have every reason to believe that we can probably expect a few surprises on this one. But that first 1 minute 46 was very promising to me. I am admittedly probably a little bit biased because of how much I enjoyed the debut. Also, though, kudos to them. They've for signing to $20 spin. It's a great label.
That's what I was going to say. Like, they have been busy. They are absolutely pumping them out.
Yeah. No, they're generally speaking a superb label, and you can be reasonably confident that most of what they put out is going to be, more than listenable.
Yeah, and it's good to see that they're actually taking on this scale of band style as well. Really they're not like fencing themselves in with a particular genre.
No,
they actually have some. It's like a good team that looks after all sorts of genres. That gives us a nice collective, and it's good for them as well. As a business sense, it works out well. And you get you're getting that support from top end and low end, as in underground to your mainstream.
Yeah, 100%. Let's give it another 60 seconds. That bringing order into chaos is that's a winner. That's
those changes that straight away I was like, that's gold.
Yeah.
That won me over.
100%.
Just those two parts. I was like, give me more of that.
The part where he does that like screaming laugh.
Yeah,
I mean that's just that to me is very old school, but fuck it, I love it. I love.
I love it. 100%. Yeah, that's when it won me over.
Yeah.
It's like, right, you got me now.
Yeah, dude. I honestly, it is completely and utterly blowing my mind what's happening this year, music wise. I know there's some of the old guard that will look at it and go, there's nothing to listen to. Everything that's coming out is shit. As it stands right now, I'm just going to look very quickly at my contenders list. Carl and I both kind of keep a running draft of what we're listening to, what's on the contenders list. So I've got 40 albums that very easily could make a top 30 in any other year. That excludes Black Curse, which if we go by form, Black Curse must certainly be on the list. So would be Cosmic Putrefaction. And I don't think I'm just giving it a scan now. Ranzi Pazuzu isn't on there either. So you can, technically speaking, you can make that 43 to try and get down to a top 30.
Yeah. And I'm glad you're doing that.
It's and as I said, it is literally. If I go down the list here of names that are on the contenders list, I mean, all of them are have released fantastic records. Inquisition, Brodequin, Bifrost.
That's right. It's not take.
No,
like I said, it's very hard, and you can't.
Machine.
Yeah, you're not taking anything away from anyone. It's just the caliber. The caliber that's coming out. It's yeah. It's I listen to something and then I'll go, this is like album of the month. But then next week I'll hear something else and I'll overrule that one. I'll just go like, oh man, I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you're going to come up with it because it's way too much. Way too much.
No, it's nuts. But I do sometimes feel like fans are almost a little bit too spoiled when it comes to the amount of stuff that's coming out, because the very fact that you can have these videos that people put up, like new music from the weekend or whatever, and it's like they're talking like 4 or 5 albums. I mean, back in my day, you would never ever have had that. Never. Maybe a good album came out once every couple of weeks in a great year. Most of the time it was like, there were a couple of albums across the course of a year that were truly excellent, and putting together a top 10 was reasonably
it wasn't as
straightforward.
Nowhere as compressed, and you would be, as a kid, you'd be, Suffocation put their album out, and technically it's going to be another, like, you better just enjoy this for the next 4 or 5 years until the next one comes out. And you had those top tier, like your favorites, but the underground wasn't existent only in the underground, tape trading and all that. So it was very unlike today, where it's just bombardment, and everyone just goes, "Have you heard this? Have you heard that?" And you go, "No, I haven't got time." And you do run out of time. The only time I get to listen to is on the way to work and way home.
When I really where it really landed with me is going to some of these festivals, and then you see a band on the bill and you're like, I've never heard of these fucking guys before in my entire life, and then they're pretty high up on the bill. People are turning out for them like crazy. Like everyone talks about them like they're these legends, and it's like I keep my finger pretty tightly on the pulse. I've never heard of them before.
So, you kind of feel stupid. You don't want to say nothing as you feel stupid.
Yeah, exactly. So
you just nod your head. You go, yeah, mate.
Yeah,
I'll be
they're
there.
Brilliant. You see, the thing is, on doing the podcast is I can mask being exceptionally knowledgeable to a point, because I've got a very widescreen monitor. So I've got a split screen open here with Metal Archive all the time. I can check what's going on, and I mean, I'm happy doing that, because I do think if you presenting a show like this, especially a segment like this, you do need to provide some color, some context if you know the band's previous stuff. But there's so many things that are coming out. I mean, I really had to jog my memory there on Cosmic Putrefaction, and they were in my top 15 for the year that they came out.
I always think you must be really into your brain food, because I've got the memory of an elephant's asshole, mate.
No, mate. It's my memory isn't bad, but there's definitely some performance enhancing techniques. Yeah. I wouldn't say substances, techniques that I have to use to mask the fact that I can't fucking remember all this shit. So
you do well.
What does happen though when you do face-to-face interviews? Like that's a different story, because I can't sit there on my phone and like look up, hey, what was the album that you made like 10 years ago? I have to try and memorize that stuff. So there I do actually have to do some prep work. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, Mother of Graves. Thank you very much, mate. At some point, and hopefully this is going to be in the next, like I was saying to Paige, probably 2027, we're going to come to Noosa. And then, I'll definitely have to do the rounds and come see a few people elsewhere in Australia as well. Fly up to
100%. We'll be meeting up.
Yeah,
no doubt about that.
That'll be that, but that'll be a big Australian face-to-face marathon that people are going to experience for the next several months when I'm there, because I'll definitely have to record conversations with loads of people there, plus the beers, plus everything else. So
it might be a Welcome Jackie festival in Noosa.
Yeah. All right.
Be werewolves. Werewolves.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that'd be fucking brilliant. I mean, werewolves is kind of like they're the spiritual house band of into the Necrosphere. So
if you're not a man, they turn you into a man.
Exactly, 100%. They raise your testosterone to severe levels, no matter who you are.
I know.
All right.
I know, assholes.
Mother of Graves launch a new song. It says here, the release of Mother of Graves' sophomore full-length, The Periapt of Absence, is just a little over a month away. You can give a listen to the second advanced single called Shatter the Visage. The accompanying official video was directed and edited by David Jagger, another band whose previous record I really enjoyed. I don't think that they made my list, but that really was probably a timing thing more than anything else. If memory serves me correctly, that previous album of theirs came out towards the back end of the year, and kind of by that point, it starts getting harder to slip one past the goalie. So that album was called Where Shadows Adorn, and I am correct, it came out on October the 14th of 2022. But very good record, definitely one that people should have paid attention to if they didn't. So excited to see what album number 2 sounds like. So I know I let that one run way longer than I normally would do, but there was enough interesting things happening there that I kind of wanted to see what was coming next. What did you think?
Like I said, I can't comment on the production, and I'm trying to decipher bits and pieces, but like my style to start off with, it reminds me of, there was a lot of. It was actually the start. The first minute was like it was like this, not necessarily the same, but this like at the gates type feel to it. But then brought it back to like just too moody for me. Too I don't know. Emotional. I don't know.
But you've done Introductory and stuff like that, and you injected some of those elements into Conspiracy X as well.
100%, and it's just trying to find that balance. I don't want to be too, I don't know, it's probably sensitive. That's why I think it's why I did Introductory as a standalone, because it was like a really, it was a personal thing for that kind of that part of my brain. But I do appreciate it. It is good. It's but it's not in the style that I really get into. But I will definitely have a listen to it after.
I
really get the gist
that
of
word
it.
that you just used there, by the way, sensitive. Like, I don't. A song gets a little too, when a song gets a little too sensitive, it's not really my thing anymore. Now, let me ask you a question though, because you listen to a very wide variety of music. Like, outside of metal, like what are like things that you listen to, like bands, musicians that you really like, or people that have put out music recently, as an example, that are not metal, that that have really landed well with you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a wide variety, and it's even shitload of electronica and sort of chill stuff. But even say bands like Battle Tapes and it's more of new wave stuff. It'll just be like I just have a random playlist, and I'll just go through a lot of different stuff. And I'm a big fan of like neurotech. If people listen to Neurowolf stuff. Which is completely different. The aggressive side is not there. It's probably more sensitive, but it's done. And it's like really, the guy is just a master at his craft. But I'll listen to. I don't know where to even start, because it's just like a day-to-day thing. I'll just go with my mood and what will happen. I'll just I can't. If I'm not into metal, I can't. I can't listen to metal. I have to listen to something that's totally different. But yeah, I can't really put bands and names because there's so many of them. My memory is so bad. But it's a lot of electronica. That gets it on the playlist.
Yeah, I need to probably at some point have a separate conversation with you about it. Electronica I should check out. I mean, I do listen to a lot of stuff outside of metal. If I think about artists this year that I've really liked, that on from our scene. I mean, I can't really say she's not entirely from our scene, because she certainly gets a lot of love from it. But I think the new Chelsea Wolfe album is absolutely incredible.
Everyone's been saying it.
Yeah, dude, it's phenomenal. It's one of the best things that she's ever done. I've really enjoyed the new Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds. I've not heard the whole album yet, but all the singles that he put out I thought were really, really good. He's gone down a very different road musically in his life, but that comes with the things that have happened to him. What happened with his son and all that sort of stuff. I kind of feel like that adds something quite special to what he's putting out at the moment.
It could change things dramatically.
Yeah,
for the better, but it can be also for the worse. But most of the time, it's you bring in a new life into your creations because of influence in your life.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, he lost. Actually, I say, what happened with his son? He lost both his sons. I think I can't remember, exactly how each of them passed away, but. I think one of them committed suicide. The other was, was an accident. But that's there's no way that's not going to change you, especially not when you the kind of artist that he is.
You can't even imagine. You can't even fathom it. It's something that's
But
it's heartbreaking.
Yeah, no, or absolutely horrific. But anyway, point is, I've liked the stuff that he's done. I'm trying to think of anything else that's come out this year that's non-metal that I've really liked. The only exposure I've had to anything else was Olivia Rodrigo, which my daughter insisted I listen to.
Yeah, I heard you talk about it.
Absolutely fucking atrocious. Please stop listening to it.
Well, yeah, my son is into rap, so I'm like in the car. I've always got A$AP Ferg pumping or.
Have you started schooling him on real deal rap, mate? Must Uncle Jackie send a playlist?
No. I get into the old stuff too. We play some old Ice Cube and NWA and stuff like that. But he's more of the new style, and but it's good because he's chosen some classes for year 11 next year, which is music industry classes, which is it's good. I tried to get him into the metal scene when he was younger. He used to call it Bowser music, like from Mario, just to have some kind of relevance that would make it not so scary. And I was like, we're going to play some Bowser music. He used to love it. And but as he got older, I think his mum's influence got too much, and he's given he appreciates it, but he doesn't listen to it. So, but I tried.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've never understood with the young bloods why they prefer newer rap to like the old stuff. Like Paige will play some of the newer stuff in the car from time to time. When she's driving, I have to concede that she's allowed control of her own radio in her own car when she's driving. But I was listening last night, for example, when we were coming back from the shops to like some stupid Ja Rule song that she was playing, and it's like, this is so atrocious. The rapping is it's so substandard to me that people like that, I can imagine if they came up during the time of Eric B and Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and guys like that, they would have, the DOC, they would have been fucking laughed off the stage.
Yeah, I think they'd be dead, to be honest.
Well,
it's not rap. I don't consider that to be rapping. No. And especially with some of these names, like you mentioned, Ja Rule, and the background of him, like it's a big no just for the background. It's like that.
I don't. As I said, I don't get it. A lot of these mumble rappers, it's the same thing. It's like there's no technique, there's no mastery to what you're doing here. The fact that you guys even proudly call it mumble rap fucking blows my mind. Again, this is the sort of thing that in 1990 would have, earned you an ass whipping at the very least.
Well, you wouldn't even have a name, really.
No.
It's pretty embarrassing compared to what we grew up with. Like still remember going to watch like Boys in the Hood at the cinema. I was just thinking they were gods.
Yeah. I'm extraordinarily fascinated with that whole era of rap, and I find
it was real.
The personality, exactly, the personalities and everything about it. I just absolutely love. NWA I like, but I think there's a lot of other things that are a lot better. But the one NWA adjacent project that I think is, everyone has to check it out. There's an album called Portrait of a Masterpiece by the DOC. And
I saw this the other week.
Yeah, dude.
He's good.
And I mean, I saw a long form interview with him. Basically, the poor guy did like his first album. Everyone thought this dude's one of the best rappers on the face of the earth. His career was really on an upward trajectory, and then he got into a car accident, and I think it ended up like crushing his larynx or something. But he never recovered, and thus was never able to do something that was quite on the same level as that album again.
That'd be frustrating.
But I mean, he was on, I think, the old flake at the time. It was in a car accident, so he talks about it, he does blame himself for the accident. But still, Jesus, it's like
I think a lot of them do.
Yeah, no, big time.
It's a downfall of a lot.
Let's get back to black metal. So Mörk Gryning are putting out a new album. It says here, black metal purveyors Mörk Gryning emerges once again and announces the release of their new full-length installment, Fasornas Tid. Due on December the 13th, 2024, via Season of Mist. It was produced by Sverker Vidgren and Mörk Gryning, mixed and mastered at Wing Studios in Stockholm by Sverker Vidgren. They've got a track out here called Tournay. Let's hear what it sounds like. I love when I listen to a song and I already have all kinds of shade concocted in my mind to start throwing at the band, and then they just completely surprise me. I mean, I was about to say, these guys have been around for a long time. They've been with us since 1993. I know they had a brief breakup, but I kind of felt like, oh, maybe this is going to be something where they're a bit long in the tooth, and I was fully planning on saying that. But this sounds pretty fucking good.
It sounds really good, and it as you said, from 1993. It says it all because it's exactly like how it was. It's definitely that second wave still going. Some bits of elements, like the harmonized bits, kind of remind me a little bit of like some like what Cradle used to do and still do, which doesn't float my boat. But the main outlay, sensational.
I mean, you're not hearing it on your side, I don't think, but the production sounds pretty good. The writing, I can see what you mean by some of the Cradle elements, but they keep away from the Cradle of Filth style sensitivity. stealing your word. There's enough there. Like there's enough, heft to the song that I think that it manages to strike that balance quite nicely between keeping the melodic elements in place, but keeping it gnarly as well.
I could oversee it. I put it in the background. I didn't let it disrupt my initial thoughts. It's just like my personal preference there was not a big fan of, but the main structure and those riffs, unreal.
Yeah, no, big time. Very promising. Definitely gets a thumbs up from me. Interesting release date as well, because very few labels release stuff around that time of the year. But December the 13th, people, Season of Mist cutting it pretty close to the line there, I think.
Oh, well, they should know when you're doing your top 30. That's what they should be worried about.
This is the thing. They realized that I wait until the new year to do mine. So, they thought, what the hell? We may as well, may as well,
we will,
release stuff all the way to the end of December.
Yeah, they heard you last week. Oh, you're going to do it. Oh, yeah, he's going to do it in January. Oh, right. Bang. December, we'll do it.
I said it. Lovely. I said it at the time, mate. I understand why a lot of the websites release their stuff in like November. I think there was some last year that were releasing it at the end of October, but at the same time, I know for an absolute fact they don't have all the new releases by the point that they're doing that. They're doing it because they want to get a bunch of clicks, but, fine if you want to do that, but at least say it. At least come out and say, look, this is actually not a definitive list. There's a bunch of stuff that's going to come out that we're not going to include, and actually will be ultimately completely overlooked. I just decided I'm not going to do that because there were 2 years in succession where there was a bunch of stuff coming out in December, and I was like, all of these albums could have made my top 20 pretty easily. I'm not doing this again. If you want to do a list like this and take it seriously, do it at the start of the new year.
Yeah, you might as well just do it in March then. It's going to be like that.
Well, I mean, you may as well just do it. You do it when everything is out and you've had the opportunity to listen to it and weigh it all up. That's a big thing for me.
I heard this. Yeah.
Now, I know that this is one of your favorite bands, Whitechapel. They've dropped a new single called A Visceral Wretch. Deathcore formation Whitechapel are pleased to present you with a brand new standalone single, A Visceral Wretch, which can be streamed together with an official music video. Vocalist Phil Bozeman on the new single. A Visceral Wretch is a song that fans of the somatic defilement will latch onto immediately. It was one of the first songs we had in the chamber to work with. The song came to light thanks mostly to guitarist Zach Householder. He showed us, and we all immediately said, yep, that's it. Zach is notorious for very dark and horror-like vibes, so this album is right in his wheelhouse. The song is disturbing. Imagine being put in a situation of survival by gluttonous mammoth demons that give you a choice. Eat the demon's waste, eat each other, or starve to death. The twist, you're against the people you love the most. It's a way to find the ones that are truly evil people and build and strengthen their cult. It also represents how horrible people can really be when push comes to shove. So, visceral stuff there, tied into the song title.
I don't know where they're going with that, but it's like
I'm about to say, actually,
be terrified.
Yeah,
and then we'll say how shit the human race is.
The cerebral stuff, I should say. But anyway, Whitechapel to me, I did enjoy some of their very early stuff. So the fact that this comes off this or was meant to be on the Somatic Defilement, that's quite interesting to me. That last album they put out, Kin, absolutely dreadful. The Valley I didn't like. They kind of started losing me right around Bark of the Blade. But anyway, I'm always happy to give anybody a chance, and since I've already read the article, we're committed to it now, so let's hear what it sounds like. Don't know what you think, mate, but that is shite. I could still take the kind of intro bit where he, says consume, but then once the actual song kicks in, I've heard this a million times before.
Yeah, it's like they've tried to put some old elements into it, but those vocals are rubbish.
Yeah,
those highs are absolutely dog.
It's also, I think, a problem that is pervasive across that whole entire scene is those very lame high-pitched vocals that they tend to use in the verses.
Don't know who likes them.
I don't get it either. And then obviously the pig squeals, they didn't deploy those here, and they're not really a band that do that all that much. But yeah, it just doesn't work. It's just not. There's nothing about this that I find in any way.
There's a new vocals in it. Did it say there's new vocals?
No, there's a new drummer in it.
The same. New drummer.
So same.
Nah. Yeah. The lows are reminiscent, but those highs are just woeful.
Shite. All right. Kylesa confirmed their first North American show in 10 years. I'm going to be seeing Kylesa at Inferno, which I thought was an interesting choice to add to that lineup. I mean, I really like Kylesa, but they're not exactly. Their music doesn't scream black metal. So I'm again very surprised that they were on that list. But either way, I'm still looking forward to seeing them because they had a couple of absolutely phenomenal records. So and that whole lineup is starting to get that whole lineup is starting to get tastier and tastier. I know Bifrost have been added to it as well. That I'm super excited about. I'm hoping they'll have Spellgoth and everyone with them, so it'll be like a full Bifrost show. But just going down the list, 1349 is playing. That's going to be fucking cool. Aura Noir, Kylesa, Dodheimsgard. Who else is playing that I'm really excited about? Bifrost I've already mentioned. Satyricon.
You make every Australian jealous, you know that. when you talk these lists in these festivals, every Australian is yelling at you.
Well, dude, have you seen if I can get Australia yelling in unison, it'll be talking about the Fortress Festival next year. I mean, that lineup is fucking.
I know.
Wild.
It's unfortunate we miss out on so much, but we get to hear how good it is always.
Well, you guys have your own, you guys have your own festivals and your own bands, which unfortunately never come over here. I mean, you could do like an entire day, like Australia Day, like Anzac black metal style at Fortress or at Inferno, and it would go down really, really well.
Well, yeah, definitely the caliber that's coming out, especially from New Zealand as well. It's extraordinary. It's all happening, but it'd be good to get some of those our favourites down here. Which,
so at Fortress, just to recap, we've got Ruim, Ulcerate. We've got the Great Old Ones. They're not all that exciting to me anymore. We've got Ecclese. That'll be the first time I'll be seeing them, so very excited about that.
That'd be fantastic.
There's a ton of good stuff. Abduction are playing, Devastator are playing. They're announcing another headlining band, I think, later today. So I'm curious to see what that is, because like between Reem, Ecclese, and Ulcerate, to me that's, your nut is now busted. But apparently they've got something else big in the pipeline.
Yeah, Ruim will be my top go-to.
That Ruim album was on a different level.
It's magical. Still, I'd even put it in this year's top 10.
Yeah, no, that is that was absolutely extraordinary. All right, let's check out another one. We've got a band called Molder who are sharing a new track. It says here, Bursted Innards is the second track to be taken from the death metalers Molder's upcoming third album, Catastrophic Reconfiguration, which has surfaced online. The new music output will land in stores on November the 8th, 2024 through Prosthetic Records. Guitarist, vocalist Aaron Pankey shares. Those that have seen us live in the last year should be familiar with this one. It's actually the first song we wrote for the new record and the first one we started testing live. This one is indirectly about my frustrations with being on the road, balancing real life on top of living the dream. Being so fed up I could just explode, but what if I did in a literal sense? Please just excuse the mess. All right, Sean, comment on that. I'm about to say I was about to throw shade at just the ridiculousness of that comment, but anyway, let's hear what the song sounds like. If there were a bonus track at the end of the one of the early Pestilence albums where you could hear Patrick Mamelli and the lads were just fucking around, this is what it would have sounded like.
It was a cross between that and Obituary, 100%.
Yeah,
that the intro was it's very long, but it was like cool. Like it was dirty. It was menacing, but just very very 90s. Which I don't mind because
I don't hate this. It's kind of I agree with you. When that intro was stretched all the way to the 1 minute mark, I thought to myself, "Fuck, this is rubbish." And then it sort of vindicates itself because when the song actually kicks off, it's got a very decidedly or intentionally old school sound, but it's not bad. I was sitting here, and I just have to say this. I was sitting here thinking, how in the fuck is this band signed to Prosthetic to put out their new record, and the new Werewolves isn't being released on Prosthetic Records?
I don't. Yeah, especially after hearing the conversation around that, as well as fucking blows my mind. I don't get it. When you have that comparison with this, it shits me even more.
Yeah.
It doesn't even make sense.
There are possibly business considerations to take in, to bear in mind. So Mulder, if they go out on the road and they're touring and stuff, and if they're touring in the States, maybe they do manage to shift more units. And I'm very much somebody who I can separate business from preference. It's a little bit like with fighting, right? I understand why Demetrius Johnson isn't paid as much as Conor McGregor, unlike vast swaths of the slobbering nitwits that are on social media. But I'd be very surprised if Mulder does sell exponentially more than Werewolves.
Not on album sales, no way. Like,
in terms of musical capability and in terms of delivering
the
death metal, it's not on the same level.
100%. It's on a way different level. Like, we're talking, where was it? Those guys, top notch, the leaders in the game. Not taking anything away from Mulder, but Prosthetic needs to really, I don't know. It sounds. Don't know what they're working on and what model they're working on, but with it's 2024 and album sales is number one. Like, you do your tours, but there's a lot of shows that people, if you're no good, no one's going to buy a ticket anyway. You could you're an American band, European band. You've got a big opportunity with your tours and stuff. And we're here in Australia, Werewolves doesn't have that exposure unless they actually go over there. And it's actually good to see Psychroptic going to do the American tour coming up, but it's just those very rare occasions. So I don't know. Record sales, that's the key for me.
Psychroptic to me kind of feels like, when it comes to labels and it comes to what would be the right word, when it comes to breakout bands in Australia, they do feel to me like the exception to the rule a little bit, in that they regularly tour outside of Australia. They have got a very, very prolific and significant social media presence. They're generally speaking they're a big band. But there's just so much other stuff in Australia that is so incredibly good as well. And
can you imagine
misunderstand? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, just some of these top tier bands over here, if they did the American tour and had that exposure, would actually smash it, I think. But as you can hear and see, a lot of at this age, we're very settled, and it does take a lot and take a lot of toll. And we're in the comfort zone. I speak just for myself, where I can just put an album out. I don't need to tour it. I don't want to tour it. I just want to put the music out. So in that sense, I think that's where the likes of Werewolves, but Matt and Dave are flat out that they're just doing a million other things as well and touring. But I think it's just, I don't know, it's a lot of work. Take something from here out.
It's been a topic of conversation recently. When you're in your 40s, as a man, you do start to think about, what does the future hold for me? Because you might have a couple of older mates that are rounding the bend on that as well. Your parents are already retired. It starts to land with you that you're not going to be young forever, and then it becomes very difficult when you're doing a job where you've got 25 days a year annual leave. You can't, 25 days a year when you've got a family and you've got a wife. You can't go, well, you and I are never going to have a holiday together because I'm going to go touring with my band in Australia.
100%. In my world, I'm just going, I've missed that bus in that part of my life. I missed the bus completely. So I don't want to go. I don't need to do it. my satisfaction is creating and trying to put something decent decent out there, but enjoy it as well. It's not a chore, but it's a cutthroat industry. Like you have to have really good label behind it, good people, PR, everything. It's just I think it's something that you need to be in your 20s or 30s. I don't know how I've got the energy for it.
Yeah. Dude, I know you need to jump. It's 8:05 on my side, so you need to hit the road.
Yeah, brother.
Thank you very much. I'm going to continue the news rant. I need to just go wake Paige up as well. But I'm going to. I'll continue the news rant right after this. But dude, great to talk to you again, and we'll have awesome. A proper chat offline at some point very soon too.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, brother. Really appreciate it. Hells to the Legion.
Yeah, 100%. Talk to you soon.
Cheers, brother.
Bye-bye. All right, my friends, moving on as Matt Priso heads off to enjoy dinner with his lady. Next up, we have got Fawn, who announced Repercussions of the Self long player. After years of quiet plotting, it reads, US sludge doom formation Fawn return with a brand new LP, the group's first new music since 2018's Rites of Despair. The new one is entitled Repercussions of the Self, and it sees its official release on October the 18th through Persistent Vision Records, recorded and mixed by Kevin Bernstein and mastered by James Plotkin. Don't believe I actually listened to 2018's Rites of Despair, so no idea what this band sounds like, but let's hear. We've got two options, Pact of Forgetting, the opening track, and then we've got Soul Shadow, which is the second song. Soul Shadow is over 11 minutes long, so let's stick with the first one and hear what this band sounds like. This is surprisingly very, very good. And I don't know why I'm saying surprisingly. I mean, I as I said, I'm not familiar with this band's back catalogue. But what I heard there, I really enjoyed. Great atmosphere. I love the guitar tone. I would be very curious to hear what this whole thing sounds like, because this song certainly sounds like a prologue of some sort. But yeah, just really, really good. Like those very subtle Middle Eastern influences that they have in the melodies as well. The vocals that are sort of buried a little bit, at least as far as I'm hearing them here. They're kind of buried a little bit in the background, but they sound unearthly, almost ghostly to a degree. Yeah, really, really good. Thumbs up for me without a shadow of a doubt. And like I said to Matt, 2024 continues to be a year that just seems to have no end when it comes to, phenomenal top-tier music being released. Speaking of which, there is a new Winterfilleth album out, as most of you should know. The album is called The Imperious Horizon. I had Nick and Chris on the podcast last week, and certainly they gave a great account of themselves. Awesome dudes. That album is absolutely exceptional, so another one that you definitely should be checking out if you haven't done yet. Let's move on to the Democrats' Guide to Rock Music. Jane's Addiction was in a bit of a kerfuffle over the weekend. Perry Farrell, seemingly high on something, decided that he was going to take it upon himself to attempt to punch Dave Navarro. Now, he seems to me like not the manliest of men, so I can't imagine one of his punches is really going to feel any harder than, your average 2-year-old trying to give you a slap. But either way, there is video footage of this that I will dig up for your viewing pleasure right now, if only to play it for laughs. So I'll read the apology that they've issued afterwards, but let's check out the Kumite first and foremost. So you can kind of tell during the song that things aren't going well. Perry Farrell sounds dreadful. It sounds like he's just mumbling. At one point, you can hear him say, at least I could hear him say, "Fuck you, motherfuckers." He's kind of staring at the band while it's happening as well. And at that point, you also see when the song comes to its close that Eric Avery, their bassist, he can kind of see something is about to kick off. And at that point, Perry rushes up to Dave Navarro, throws, a weak man's punch. And in fairness to Dave, he just kind of looks relatively bemused, stays cool, calm, and collected throughout the whole ordeal. But, that's not the best look. A lot of folks online were suggesting that old Perry was either drunk or he was on some of the old snow or, something else. But, things definitely weren't clicking, or certainly on stage or in his mind on that or during this particular set. So Jane's Addiction have posted a formal apology, I would assume, on their socials. They say, "We want to extend a heartfelt apology to our fans for the events that unfolded last night. As a result, we will be cancelling tomorrow night's show in Bridgeport. Refunds will be issued at your point of purchase. Reach out to them directly. Thank you, Jane's Addiction." Not really much being said. I suggest it's going to probably be the last that we see of Jane's Addiction this. There's clearly something deeper going on there, based just on the fucking crazed look in Perry's eyes when he, when he sidles up to Dave. Perry's wife has said that apparently the altercation had been a culmination of Perry's mounting frustration due to the extremely loud volume of the band's playing, and that her husband felt that his voice was being drowned out by the band. Perry had been suffering from tinnitus and a sore throat every night, but when the audience in the first row started complaining to Perry, cussing at him that the band was playing too loud and that they couldn't hear him, Perry lost it. The band started the song Ocean Size before Perry was ready and did the count-off. Etty continued, Etty being his wife. The stage volume was so loud at that point that Perry couldn't hear past the boom and the vibration of the instruments. By the end of the song, he wasn't singing, he was screaming just to be heard. Etty claimed that while Navarro had tried to keep her husband at arm's length to de-escalate the situation, bassist Eric Avery put Perry in a headlock and punched him in the stomach 3 times. I didn't quite get that from the video, but anyway, she said a crew member was able to pull Avery away, and he walked off to the front of the stage to apologize to the audience for the show ending early. Curious to know how soon they ended that show, like how many songs they had played at the point that they wrapped it up. Let's have a look. So there were 11 tracks in, so it's not too bad. People aren't going to feel completely aggrieved. Anyway, Etty says, Dave still looked handsome and cool in the middle of a fight. Perry was a crazed beast for the next half an hour. He finally did not calm down, but did break down and cried and cried. Eric, while he either didn't understand what de-escalation meant or took advantage of the situation to get a few cheap shots in on Perry. Yeah. I mean, firstly, it's lame to pick a fight like that with somebody who's busy playing guitar. Secondly, is it Dave's fault if the stage or if the instruments are too loud? I mean, that to me would seem like an issue at the sound desk, and that's something that you would be able to wrap your head around during sound check. I'm not sure that Dave specifically said, "Hey, listen, by the way, guys, if you don't turn up my guitar way louder than Perry's voice, I'm out of here." But I mean, we don't know what happened behind the scenes. But yeah, I don't think it's cool to pick a fight with your bandmate. It comes back to what I said to you guys last week. Be careful who you do business with if you're in a band, because it doesn't matter what you think to the contrary. People have very romanticized views of what it is to be like, or to be in a band with people. But the reality is, when you get to a point where money's involved, you're in a business relationship, and the very best of friends can become the worst of enemies in a situation like that. John Schaefer's sentencing hearing postponed for a 5th time, this time to late October. According to the Republic, a federal judge has agreed to push back John Schaefer's sentencing hearing for the 5th time, this time to October the 25th, from the previously announced September 13th. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta also set a deadline for prosecutors and defense attorneys to make their case for what sentencing should be handed down to Schaefer, who was the first person to plead guilty to storming the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021, a day that will live on in infamy. Schaefer was initially scheduled to be sentenced on February the 20th, but his sentencing hearing has been delayed 5 times, first to April, then July, August, September, and now late October. The latest decision to postpone Schaefer's sentencing comes less than 3 months after the Supreme Court sided with a January 6 Capitol riot defendant in a ruling that could affect hundreds of prosecutions, including the criminal case against Schaefer. U.S. Attorney Matthew M. Graves asked the judge to delay Schaefer's hearing in light of the Supreme Court decision. I'm not going to go into any great detail about my thoughts on that. Save to say, like I've mentioned before, anyone that believes that was a true attempt at an insurrection is, I think, very seriously deluded. Governments don't operate on the basis of capturing the flag. Like when you go in, when you win the base, it doesn't necessarily mean the government is now toppled. So the fact that they call it an insurrection, I think, is completely and utterly laughable. This was a bunch of idiots that, if the footage is to be believed, were effectively invited into the building by the police. They went in, made a bit of a mess, and that was about as bad as it got. I think that the entire, like, calling it the worst attack on democracy since the Civil War, I mean, that alone, in my view, should disqualify any political candidate from running for office. Because if you are willing to say that sort of bullshit with a straight face to people, you either have a pathological aversion to the truth, and absolutely no shame in just lying barefaced to people, or you are one of the biggest idiots to ever walk the face of the earth. I don't really see how there could be any other outcome there. All right, we're going to finish up on this one. Mastodon and Lamb of God stream a collaborative new track called Floods of Triton. It also is mentioned here on Metal Injection that Mastodon has a new label. After a little teasing, Mastodon and Lamb of God are now streaming their collaborative new track, Floods of Triton. The new single comes right after Mastodon and Lamb of God just wrapped up their arena tour celebrating Leviathan and Ashes of the Wake. Floods of Triton was recorded at Mastodon's own West End Sound Studios in Atlanta and was produced by Mastodon and Tyler Bates, who was responsible for writing the scores to Guardians of the Galaxy, John Wick, Maxine, etc. I think he wrote I believe he wrote the score to Pearl and X as well, if I'm not mistaken. Is it a good single? You bet. Does it feel like it's mostly a Mastodon song with some Lamb of God sprinkled on top? 100%. The single is also Mastodon's first on Loma Vista Recordings, their new record label. For those unaware of Mastodon's label history, they released Remission and Leviathan on Relapse, and then everything from Bloodmount to Hushed and Grimmed through Reprise. I mean, I didn't like Hushed and Grim whatsoever. I also truly despised the last Lamb of God record, but everything prior to that for both bands I thought was top tier. So let's hear what this sounds like. So whenever a band goes out on the road and they play an album that was very seminal in their career, you know, the way that Metallica did Ride the Lightning, Master of Puppets, the way that Mastodon and Lamb of God have now done Leviathan and Ashes of the Wake, I often wonder whether or not being on stage night in and night out, revisiting those tracks and, you know, maybe kind of experiencing the energy from the audience for that particular stage of their discography. My thoughts are always whether or not that gets them excited enough about that style of music to at least bring back some of those influences in future releases. It wasn't quite the case for Metallica. I think if memory serves me correctly, they did a Master of Puppets run right before they put out Death Magnetic. And obviously Death Magnetic was heavier, but it was still quite different. What I'm hearing here is almost certainly a throwback to those early stuff. I mean, that opening riff on this song reminds me quite a lot of Blood and Thunder. I think it's fair to say that, yes, it does sound like a Mastodon song with Brandy Blythe doing vocals, but that's fine. I would hope that playing Ashes of the Wake, which is vastly superior to anything that Lamb of God have put out, more or less in their entire career, hopefully that kind of, rekindles an affinity for that style as well. But Mastodon in particular, to me, have some ground to make up after Hushed and Grim. That was just such a letdown. Again, in an otherwise stellar back catalogue. That I'm encouraged by what I'm hearing here. I think if this is, if playing those old songs has gotten them back on track musically, and they realize, look, if we play to our strengths, we know we can still throw in some of the variation and some of the experimentation, but, there's also a Mastodon signature that, we need in our music that was very, very badly missing from Hushed and Grim. I'm all for that. I'm definitely all for that. So this is getting a thumbs up from me for sure. Let's give it another 60 seconds. But so far, very promising. I'm going to take a bet and say the first solo in that sequence was a Mark Morton solo. The last one we just listened to was Brent Hines, without a doubt. You can hear that through and through. But I know this is meant to potentially be part of a split EP. I'm definitely all for it. Both of these bands are bands I love. I've also said some vile things about them over the course of maybe the last couple of years, but that's because of the fact that I've got high expectations, and on both of their last records, they dismally failed to meet those. If this gets them, back on the right path, I'm very, very much in favor of that. So good stuff there. Thumbs up from me. Folks, on that note, I'm going to wrap it up. I want to say thank you very much to Christopher, a.k.a. Necroshorns, for coming on the show and giving me his time. I hope you guys enjoyed that conversation, because I found it to be extraordinarily entertaining. I am back next week, of course, with Tony from Oranzi Pazuzu. You are definitely going to want to hear that one. Something that I had picked up in the news rant that I confirmed with him, that I'll leave that as a surprise for next week. But I was personally vindicated when he said, "Yeah, you're absolutely right on that one," and he seemed pretty impressed that I picked it up. I also want to say a big thank you to Matt Priso, not only for being my co-host on the news rant this week, but also for letting me do another premiere on the Sphere. Maybe one or two more of those to come at some point over the course of 2024, the remainder of 2024. But what a year it has been on Into the Necrosphere. I think I've done about 6 or 7 of those premieres. Just going back over the list of guests that I've had on this podcast, it's fucking wild. And it could not have happened without all of the support from the Legion. So a big thank you to all of you. Thanks for checking out the podcast. Whatever it is that you are doing and wherever it is that you are, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next week.
Mountains shall move and streams return to their wells. These hands no longer grasp the power they once held. This ground is sown by those before me and their lies. I dare not look up for on me. my mind. Hot water